Underdog Fantasy is the fastest growing fantasy app and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Just jump on UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app, draft your team, and that's it. And if drafts aren't your thing, they also have a pick'em game where you can win 20 times your money in a single night. Use promo code RADIO, and Underdog will double your first deposit when you sign up with up to $100 in bonus cash. Deposit $100, get $100 free. That's promo code RADIO. Terms and conditions apply.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
It's hard to be humble when you're from Arkansas, which was funny on many levels, because why would you be proud of being from Arkansas? That's number one. Arkansas is a terrible place.
And Rich Crage.
Like, this all started because someone liked a tweet and got annoyed about it.
Everybody log off. Throw your phones in the body of water closest to you. Stop. This is all terrible. I hate it all.
Yeah, it's all so dumb.
And we are live here on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich Crage. He is Joe Lanza. Joe, what's happening?
How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. You all right?
Yeah. Well, I gave you a little clap, you know.
Oh, I didn't hear the clap. I did not hear
the
the clap. I just heard the, I
gave a clap.
Well, without the clap, yeah, it did seem like you were down in the dumps. But okay, if there wasn't indeed a clap, then that changes everything, so.
There was a clap.
Okay, I didn't hear the clap. It's like the burp. It's like Burpgate. I didn't hear the clap, so I don't know.
I mean, I definitely clapped.
We'll have to see if the listeners. We'll see what the No Dopes chat room over at flagshippatreon.com if they heard the clap. I didn't hear a clap, so I'm sorry for insinuating that you may not have been in a good mood, because the clap would have changed everything. But anyway, okay. Something I wanted to touch base with you, Joe. This was a topic that we had a couple of weeks ago. Maybe a couple months ago at this point, but I was gone, and then last week we were busy, and I didn't have a chance to tell you about this. But remember our discussion about ptarmigans a couple weeks ago? You recall when you were making fun of craft beer and mentioning that, ptarmigans would be on these dumb, dopey craft beer cans and stuff, and it'd be some dumb beer with some ptarmigan on it or whatever, right? You recall the conversation?
Yeah. I said ptarmigans are a dumb bird that you would put on a craft beer can or something.
Yeah, right. So now I had never, and earnestly, I had never heard of ptarmigans before that point. Like never have I. Like, I'm sure I probably have encountered the word before. I've probably seen a picture of them before or whatever. But like, to me, when you said ptarmigan, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I never heard of ptarmigans ever in my life. What the hell bird are you talking about? What the hell's a ptarmigan? Looked it up. Oh, it kind of looks like a dove. Okay, whatever. And then ptarmigan left my brain to what I thought never to return to my brain ever again, Joe. That was not the case, though. Because guess where there's a shit ton of ptarmigans, quite literally everywhere? Alaska. There were, at the airport, I get off in the airport and there's a stuffed ptarmigan, right out of the gate. There's a stuffed bear next to a stuffed ptarmigan. And I'm like, all right, Joe's right. This is a real bird. And then I proceeded for the next week to be like bombarded with ptarmigans. There was ptarmigan campgrounds, ptarmigan creeks, ptarmigan. We're driving on the road, and I'm seconds away, inches away from running over an entire gaggle. What would you call a group of ptarmigans? I don't know. I don't know why I would ask you that. You would know. There's a bunch of ptarmigans crossing the street. I have to slam on the brakes to not kill all these ptarmigans.
I'm guessing it would be a flock of
ptarmigans.
It is a bird, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So it's also one of these dumb words where it starts with P.
Yes.
But you don't pronounce the P. It's not ptarmigan. it's ptarmigan. Like, it should either be ptarmigan, or we should just get rid of the P. Like, what harm would be done if we just agreed as a group, as people who speak English, to just drop the P?
Yeah, we're not doing
the P
thing.
Why keep the P around?
We're not doing the P thing anymore. Yeah.
Just get rid of it. Anyway, you make it.
So someone in the no-dope chat room says congregation. I don't know if that's actually true, or they're just coming up with names for these, because every animal's a little different. Because like you said, they're a bird. That doesn't necessarily mean they're a flock. Because I think isn't it a gaggle of geese? It's very strange. That if you ever want to like get into no,
I
think it's a gaggle. I think it's a gaggle of geese.
I think it should be a flock.
I don't disagree. I'm just telling you what it is. And if you ever want to go down a wormhole, it's what are groups of animals called. It's very fun. It's a very fun game to play with the kids if you ever want to, you're bored and want to play the game. So you'll be wrong 95% of the time.
Do you remember Flock of Seagulls?
I do remember Flock of Seagulls. Yes. Yeah.
New wave band. You remember that? Okay.
I've recently jumped into the Sirius XM First Wave channel. I like that channel. It's good.
Yes,
good
little channel.
Yeah, good little channel. I have like one. We've talked about this before, but I have a pretty big rotation of Sirius XM channels or whatever. But I always keep one open for like a new music channel that I'll move over. Like it's been 50s before. It's been First Wave. It changes. It's like whatever that mood is for a month or two. I listen to whatever that station is, and then I'll say, okay, well now it's time for 70s on 7, or okay, now it's time for the Garth channel for a month or two or whatever, just to see what's going on. Like you gotta it's a fun little challenge to find a channel for that series and see how long you stick with it.
Yeah, until you get tired of it.
Yeah.
Until you're like, oh, this music stinks.
Right, like I'm gonna hate First Waves. Like I have like I think all this music is good, and that's all my channels. And then I have maybe I do like 50s music, and then within like 2 weeks, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't really like 50s music. I'm gonna move on. But it's fun for those 2 weeks to discover some new stuff.
Do you enjoy the Flock of Seagulls hit "I Ran"?
I ran the very yes, I have heard of "I Ran" and
yeah.
Do I enjoy it? I don't know if I enjoy it. It's fine. It's fine.
Big hit. That one doesn't get you going, huh?
Nah, I guess I don't like First Wave that much, to be honest. I'm trying. There's some stuff I like on that channel. Yeah.
I ran parentheses so far away.
Yes,
closing
of course.
Parentheses. That big hit. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's it finished very high on the charts in its day. That was let me look this up. This had to be a top 10 U.S. single.
Oh,
right?
It had to be.
It reached number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100.
That's it?
How about that? Top 10.
I figured
number 1 in Australia.
No, those Australia. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, it was number 1 in Australia. You know who didn't like "I Ran" parentheses so far away? The UK. It only reached number 43.
See, they have bad taste anyway, so.
43, it's not even chart. Like 43?
Just didn't care. Yeah.
What's the number 43 Billboard song right now? Probably something we never heard of, right?
Oh, correct. So yeah, no doubt.
I mean, number 1 might be something I never heard.
Yeah, I was gonna say these days I'll have to back out of any kind of current music discussions. Other than Dua Lipa, that's about the only current music I enjoy. So
it's probably some mumble rap song or something. Someone going on and on about Xanax or something. It's probably what
I don't know. Is that still going on? I don't know if that's still going on, but I'm sure it is.
They don't do mumble rap. That's not big anymore. The mumble rap.
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy. So it's probably
face tattoos. And...
yeah, I think that heyday is. I think it's on the downswing, but I cannot confirm nor deny that exactly. It's probably some song that people are dancing to on TikTok, so that's the number 1 hit now. But that you have also.
So I have to change up my references. I can't just talk about
I
mumble
think you
rap
can stick
anymore.
with it. I think you could stick with it because once you get to a certain age, like you just kind of you become a stick in the mud. You know what I mean?
Oh!
So, no, I don't want you to. Yeah, I'm there. I'm there now too. I'm not throwing you under the bus at all. I'm just saying.
I keep up. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they don't do the mumble rap anymore. That's not a thing. SoundCloud rappers aren't a thing anymore.
I don't know. Yeah, again, wrong person to ask. Let's see what the Billboard Hot 100 is right now. Well, depends what you define Jack Harlow as. He's pretty close to mumble rap. He's pretty close to SoundCloud rap. But yeah, maybe it's. And then you have "As It Was" by Harry Styles. That's number 2.
Here's the thing.
"Heat Waves" by Glass Animals, number 3. So there you go.
I'd have to hear the songs. I'm never gonna know the artist or the title. But if I hear the songs, I probably know the songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you stay up on it. Yeah, no, the wife keeps you honest, right?
I hear the songs because my wife plays the songs. but that doesn't mean I know. Like, I couldn't pick Jack Harlow out of a lineup.
Right, but you've heard Jack Harlow for sure. You just have no idea what you have. Yeah.
I probably have had his songs in my head, and I'm like humming along because I hear him. So, but I don't know the titles. Couldn't tell you. You know what I mean? So reading the list doesn't do me any good because I'm not going to know the names of the songs. I've heard that name. I just Googled the guy. No, this guy could have delivered me a pizza last night.
He very well may have.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who this guy is. This guy's a mumble rapper. That's what he does?
No, not really. I wouldn't define him as a mumble rapper. He's got some pretty good bars, Joe, as the kids would say.
What's his big hit?
I don't know.
The first Google result in videos is First Class.
Sure, go with that.
Let me play a little of this. I'll tell you if I know it.
Okay,
play a little
great.
bit.
Yeah.
So let's see. You'll be happy to know, Rich, it is in fact a TikTok song.
TikTok.
It also stinks.
I can't hear it, and it sounds. I'm sure it's bad. So.
Oh my God! How do people listen to that? That's awful. We don't want to go down this wormhole, though.
No.
Listen, you like what you like. You like what you like.
Yeah.
You know?
If that's what you like, then okay. But
it's pretty brutal, though. Like 10 seconds in, I'm like, I got to get out of here. I can't do it.
That's why we stick with Lithium and First Wave and 90s on 9.
Yes.
And, that's where the familiar
I ran, parentheses, so far away. I will stick with that.
You know what you're going to get out of that. Yeah, you know what you're going to get out of that. I got a little LL Cool J's Rock the Bells radio that keeps me honest, too. So there you go. So.
What wasn't that in one of the Grand Theft Autos? I ran.
Oh, of course, yeah, Vice City. I think very
Vice
famously,
City, right?
very famously in Vice City. I think, yeah, the
Would've
commercial.
Oh, is the commercial right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. What was the number 43 song, by the way? That was the whole point.
Oh, sorry, I did close out of that. The current number 43 Billboard Hot 100 song is scrolling. Light Switch by Charlie Puth. Puth. How would you?
Charlie Puth.
Yeah.
All right, let me pull this up.
Light Switch by Charlie Puth. 12 weeks on the chart. Peaked at 27, but still hanging in there. So good for.
Well, you want me to read the lyrics? I got the lyrics.
Yeah, I'd love for you to read the lyrics of Light Switch by Charlie Puth or whatever that is. Yeah, go ahead.
Why you calling at 11:30? Why
late.
you only want to do me dirty? But I hit right back because you got that, yeah.
Okay.
Why you always want to act like lovers, but you never want to be each other's? I say don't look back, but I got to go right back, yeah. It seems as though he's mad at a girl.
He's very conflicted. Yeah, this is a deep song. He's very, because like at first he's
I don't
like.
think he's conflicted at all. I think he's pissed off that this girl's jerking him around. He's like, why you? Basically, she's only calling him late at night, right? She likes to pretend that she
wants the D. Yeah, she wants the D, and that's all she wants him for.
Yeah, and he's like, "What's up? You're like, this is bullshit. You're using me." You know, the man might have a good point here.
Well, so the way I said he's conflicted though is because in this, like in that first part that you mentioned, he's good to say, "Hey, whatever. I'm done. I'm not dealing with this crap. I'm going to bed. Yeah. It's late." But then he's like, "You got the what was it?
No, you're right, because he says, "But I hit right back because you got that, yeah."
Yeah, that. Yeah, I mean, he wants to not do it. He wants to say, "You know what? I want something deeper than this." But goddamn, I mean, I gotta do it.
You got a fat butt, so if you want to come over,
right?
You know, I'm gonna that, yeah. You know, so all right. I see where you're coming from.
Conflicted in that sense that she's got that, but he wants more than that. He wants a real relationship.
Why you want to act like lovers? He's saying, like you don't, you right. just. Yeah. So then he says, all of a sudden I'm hypnotized. You're the one I can't deny. Every time that I say I'm going to walk away. Yeah. See, he can't resist the butt. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening.
It happens to the best of us, yeah.
He knows it's a bad move. You know what I mean? He knows this girl's no good. He knows she don't want nothing to do with him. But he's just, it's, it must be like some really good sex. You know? You turn me on like a light switch. There's the light switch.
Oh. That's a lame, oh man, what a lame line. That's a boring line.
Yeah, very lame. And he made it the title too.
Yeah.
When you're moving your body around and around. Now, I don't want to fight this. No, you know how to make me want.
You don't know that's how it was said.
Well, it's in parentheses, so I improvised a little. So
you're taking creative liberties with Charlie Puth's light switch.
They repeat the chorus. The rest of this is basically he's repeating. Come on, and show me how you do.
He's just asking. Again, like, okay, this guy's an idiot. He had a chance to get.
You know what? He's bringing it on himself.
Yeah, exactly. Right. He's not conflicted. He's just an idiot.
Here's the thing: there's other fish in the sea. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
He doesn't have to, put up with this.
And you can get that from a lot of, there's
absolutely.
It's especially if that is referring to a posterior, which I believe it is, right? Are you?
Well, it could be.
You're just assuming that's what that means. Yeah.
Maybe Charlie Puth is a leg man. I don't know.
right. I was just gonna say because you're in high time for if you're into butts, this is the best time to be into butts ever. Maybe you know what I mean.
It is the best time to be into butts. Yeah. They're emphasizing the butts. They're encouraging the butts. Absolutely.
Boobs will always be there, but yeah, butts are really in a heyday right now. So good for them.
Listen, boobs are timeless.
Yeah, right. Boobs will always be there.
Yeah, but this is we're really reaching peak butt. Let me play a second. Let me see if I ever heard this now. Let me see. Charlie Puth.
I am pretty confident I never have, but yeah. All
right, I got to tell you. Nah, I never heard this in my life.
Are we singing? Are we rapping? What are we doing here?
He's singing.
Okay.
You're surprised, aren't you?
A little bit.
I'll sing along with him, so you get the feel.
Please
don't look back, but I go right back. Yeah, I'm hypnotized. You're the one that I can't deny. That's kind of the feel.
Okay, all right. It sounds all right. Actually, it sounds like a pretty decent song.
Let me get to the chorus here. You turn me on like a light switch. Body round and round. Okay, this isn't. You know what? This isn't even that bad. It's much better than that Jack Harlow song.
There you go. So let's switch 42 and 1. So 43 and 1. 43 and 1.
Yeah. That's one of the worst segments we've ever did.
That is pretty horrendous. But okay, well, Joe, I think I can top that almost immediately with this next segment. All right, you ready for this?
Oh, we're done with the Ptarmigans?
No, Joe. This was all a long bit to get to the Ptarmigans. So you recall that we had a conversation a couple months ago about the Ptarmigans and shitty craft beers or whatever, right? I forget when it was, maybe 2 months ago, whatever. There was a few people that reached out to me and said, I think you guys have something here. And particularly, former Voices of Wrestling contributor Andy Labar reached out and said, I think I have a game idea for you guys. So, Joe, I ask you, are you ready to play the game that is sweeping the nation, craft beer or indie wrestling show name? Are you ready for this?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a good one. So now, so that you got you can't hear it, but the Supermarket Sweep theme is in the background. So, classic game show. Were you a Supermarket Sweep fan at all, or no?
I probably enjoy Supermarket Sweep as much as the next fella. Yeah, okay, it's not bad.
Yeah, I think it's got a Pluto channel. I throw it on every so often. It's a fun show.
It's a good show to scream at the TV.
Yeah, you're like, God, cornflakes. But the cornflakes are like $2. What those are?
Go to the turkeys. What are we doing?
Why are you stuffing your box with cornflakes, you dummy?
Find the antifreeze. What are we doing here?
Yeah, you dummy. Oh, I'm gonna get these. I'm gonna get this bread. Okay, the bread's 49 cents, man. Keep moving.
Yeah, come on. Jeez, not even wheat bread. What are we doing?
Right, white bread, just generic store brand white bread. What are you doing? Come on. It's dope, and it's especially great to watch now because with inflation, it's like radical because it's like Hershey's, or Yoo-hoo. It's like $1.15, and they're like ding 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 ding. And you're like, that would cost like $5.99 these days. There's no way it'd be that much anymore. So the prices are they're like 1991 prices, so they're just completely off the rails. So, okay, so you ready to play craft beer or indie show name?
I'm ready. This sounds fun.
You're gonna do it. So now, for the people that need to know at home, Joe Lanza does not drink. So none of these beers I'm saying have ever. Joe has no clue. He's never had any of these. Maybe I don't even think in passing he's heard. I mean, there's so many beers out there that there's no way that TLB has ever had any of these beers, or if she has, it's completely unmemorable to you, right? Beers mean nothing to you.
She doesn't drink any craft beers anyway.
She's a seltzer lady, right?
She does a lot of the girl beers, the Trulies and the
the seltzer. It doesn't have to be about gender, Joe. Come on.
Well, do men drink those? I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
I thought those fruity seltzery beers were like stuff that girls drink.
Nah, guys love them too, man. If they're watching their figure, they're trying not to get fat. They drink those. But
well, I just the marketing and everything. I figured that was kind of like beer for girls. But I don't know anything about beers, so
as evidence, Joe has no earthly idea what's going on. So okay, but you know wrestling, so you should do pretty good at this. But we'll see what happens. So all right. I randomized this. I got some help from Andy, Kevin, Griffin, Adam, Joe Gagney also helped with these as well. Ariel helped me as well. So we got a lot of people that came in, helped me with these. And I've selected 18 for you, Joe, but this will go quick. It won't go very long. So 18 of these. So you were guaranteed to either win or lose, okay?
Yeah.
So you were guaranteed to either win or lose this game. Okay.
Well, no, I'm not. I can go 9-9.
You could go 9-9, yeah. Should I take one out so you're not guaranteed to
I forgot. You're so neurotic. Just read the damn questions.
Okay, all right. We'll start with the number one here, and so of course you know how the game works. I'm going to say, if I say Hell Hath No Fury, you would say, oh, that's a AEW indie wrestling show. I know about that, so yeah, nice and easy. But if I say, Bud Light, I would hope that you would say, oh, that is a beer. So, all right, are you ready?
Right. I'm ready.
All right, Wake Up and Slay. Wake Up and Slay.
That is an indie wrestling show.
That is a beer from Epig. The brewery named Epig. It's an IPA. So, Joe, you are 0 of 1 on Wake Up.
Wake Up and Slay. I was thinking, what was that British all-women's promotion that existed for a while? What was that
the
called?
one that got in trouble.
The one that hated us. What was that called?
Well, you have to be more specific about that. But
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, what was that one called? Yeah, they really hated us.
That's immediately what I thought when you said Wake Up and Slay.
Is that the one that I think? Are you thinking of Pro Wrestling Eve?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. That's yeah. Well, anyway. All right, number 2. I'll just end there. Number 2. There's something about Barry.
That I know for sure is an indie wrestling show.
Okay, do you know the promotion for not for any bonus points, but just for bragging rights here?
Yeah, it was. For the sake of moving this along, I'm not going to remember, but I remember that show.
All right, it is Black Label Pro, actually. One of your favorite indies on the scene right now, Black Label Pro. Yeah.
So close to being good. If Black Label Pro would just tighten up their booking a little and stop doing so much intergender. Anyway, move on.
Yeah, they have great cards and usually not great shows, which is quite difficult to do. Okay, number 3, Not Here to Fuck Spiders.
Wow,
that's a doozy.
You would probably not want to put that on a can of beer, but at the same time,
yeah, it's ironic. You know what I mean?
It's right. So it's either like a East Coast deathmatch promotion, maybe with Nate Webb in the main event, but I'm gonna go with the beer on this one.
Incorrect. You were actually very close here. Not Here to Fuck Spiders. It is a deathmatch promotion. I don't know what coast of this country it's on, but it is from Deathmatch Down Under, the Australian deathmatch promotion. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what. It might be on the east coast of Australia. I don't know. We do not know the coast whatsoever, because I think at one time we were talking with an Australian wrestler, and I asked him if he was getting booked in like this one promotion, and he was like, "No, it's like 17 hours away, so no, I'm not." He's like, "No, I'm in Perth, and no, that's like 20 hours away, so no, I'm not working there this weekend. I'm not driving, 19 hours for a booking this weekend." So it's a big country. Sorry about that. So all right, so I'd be like asking Vinny Massaro if he's packing the car and heading over to CZW this weekend. Right. Yeah. No, not really. It's pretty far. But anyway, so you are unfortunately you have gotten 1 correct, 2 wrong so far in this craft beer or indie show name. Number 4 here. Behold the Turtle. Behold the Turtle. Man, these are hard. I will give it up to the people that helped me with this. Great job out of this. I'm gonna go with beer. No, Behold the Turtle is indeed from Progress Chapter 126, main evented by Cara Noir and Gene Mooney. I don't know who Gene Mooney is, or Gene Money. I don't know what it is. Richard the Gene Mooney. Gene Mooney. Who the hell is
Nah.
Jim? I don't know any of these Progress people anymore. What has happened to this company? Jesus Christ.
They're all just made up. Don't worry about it. He covers his nipples with tape. Just don't worry about
it. All right,
it.
yeah. Well, he main evented Behold the Turtle. So.
This game stinks. Okay, keep going.
All right, number 5 is Cameron's Cruising Through the Galaxy.
Oh, come on. That's got to be a wrestling show.
That is Cameron's Cruising Through the Galaxy. Cameron's Brewing Company. It's a hazy New England style IPA.
You can't even fit that on the bottle label. You can't even fit that on the label?
It's pretty large. Yeah. Cameron's Cruising Through the Galaxy. It is a brewery in Oakville, Ontario. Oh, Canadian brewery. All right, you are not doing great, Joe. You have 4 wrong, 1 correct. We will move on to Maximum Overdraft. Maximum Overdraft.
It's got to be a beer.
This is not going well for you. There's somebody listening that's going to get upset too, because that is indeed a show from Chikara in August of 2007, main evented by Gran Akuma and Icarus versus Mark and Jay Briscoe. So Gran Akuma here is going to get really upset that you didn't get that right.
Yeah, but it's like 1,000 years ago. How am I supposed to know the name of that show? This is not.
It's not going well, but there's plenty of time for you to catch up here because I think you got this one. I believe. Yeah, we've either touched on this beer and or indie show at some point on this show in a very bizarre way. But number 7, One Leg in the Air.
Indie show.
That is indeed Progress Chapter 111, One Leg in the Air. Main evented by Kanji and Giselle Shaw, which I think you said was a horrendous match, if I remember correctly. So,
yeah, I think I watched that show. Yeah.
We talked about that show at length. There you go. You are on the board again. You have 2 correct, and you have 5 wrong. We'll move on to Do You Believe in the Man on the Moon?
Okay, that can't possibly be a beer. I mean, if that's a beer, do you believe in the man? And for that reason, I'm going to say it's a beer. Beer.
No, that is an IWA Mid-South show. Joe,
I'm overthinking this.
From November 29th, 2018, main evented by Aaron Williams, Ace Perry, and Logan James in a 30-minute 3-way Iron Man match. So.
I don't watch that meth lab shit. I don't.
There was a match. There was a match here: Rump Thump versus JC Rotten. Are you aware of Rump Thrump? I am not. So.
I don't watch that promotion. Never did. Yeah, too trashy. Even you remember back in the day when like CM Punk and Chris Hero and these guys would work on.
Yeah, Eddie Guerrero would pop in. Yeah.
And
Rey
people
Mysterio.
Would be like, oh, you're gonna get the IWA Mid-South tape. I'm like, no, I can watch these people in ROH. Why am I gonna watch this trash fucking garbage promote? No, never. That I couldn't get. I never got into CZW either. I couldn't.
Yeah, I never did either. Yeah, and even during my like trashy like deathmatch phases, I didn't like IWA South. Like I always way preferred CZW or just Japanese death matches over whatever the hell IWA South was.
I'm like the ring's falling apart. There's like no apron. I can't watch this. It's terrible.
Yeah, not great. But all right, we'll move on here to number 9, Blood Brothers Guilty Remnant. Blood Brothers Guilty Remnant.
Right, that's a beer.
Wow, I thought for sure you were going to say that was a show, but no, that is indeed a beer from Blood Brothers Brewing in Toronto. I've been to this brewery as well. That, Joe, is a white stout with coffee, vanilla, and lactose.
Well, of course it is.
Yeah, as you know. I don't even know why I had to explain that to you. You know that Blood Brothers Guilty Remnant, of course, is a white stout with coffee, vanilla, and lactose. All right, number 10, The Idaho Situation.
Oh, God. I keep thinking, okay, I get an answer and then I say the opposite because I feel like I'm trying to be tricked, right? So now
that's kind of the game, yeah.
Yeah, now I'm going to get an answer and just go with it. That is a beer.
That is indeed a beer from the brewery Original Pattern, a New England hazy IPA. So you're doing quite well here now. You got 4 correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wrong. So you're getting pretty close here. All right. Number 11, Shot of Southern Comfort.
That is a wrestling show.
You are indeed correct. That is an IWA Mid-South yet again. We go to IWA Mid-South for this. This is from May 29th, 2004. Main evented by the team of Southern Comfort, Chris Hamrick and Tracy Smothers against the Second City Stains of CM Punk and Colt Cabana. So there you go.
Right. Like, I'd love to watch that match, but not in IWA Mid-South. You know what I mean?
Sounds like a great match, but actually, this show looks pretty up your alley. I'm going to quickly read over what the folks at the Lincoln Center in Highland, Indiana saw on this night. They saw Danny Daniels versus Eddie Edwards, Sumi Sakai versus Rain. Southern Comfort wrestled many times against Eddie Kingston and Jack Marciano, the Wild Cards. It was a tournament. They had a little tag title tournament here. Then you had the Second City Saints, CM Punk and Colt Cabana defeating Chad Collier and Nigel McGuinness. There's some. This is a hell of a show here. The Havana Pitbulls defeat Brad Bradley and Ryan Boz.
Yeah,
B-Boy and Homicide. But you're right. All these, I'm sure it's like Black Label Pro. Like somehow this show would find a way to suck.
Well, here's the thing. Like, people would say they were great, but I don't care, because everyone you just named, I could just drive 10 minutes to Edison, New Jersey and watch Ring of Honor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just going to Ring of Honor shows to see these same people.
Right. You have Samoa Joe versus Chris Hero, a very well-regarded match on the show. And then semi-main event is Sabu versus Jerry Lynn.
Yeah.
Sabu and
I'm
Jerry
sure
Lynn.
it was a great show, but, you know. I'm sure the mat had tape all over it,
Right.
and it was, and the ring was lopsided, and it just no.
And
I
Ian Rotten
can't.
gets money on it, and that's not a very good thing either. So.
Yeah, so no, I'm gonna have to pass.
All right, so move on to number 12 here. Home stretch. Barbarian Streisand.
That's got to be a beer.
That is indeed a pale ale from Cellar Maker. So you have righted the ship here. So you were doing pretty well. Now we move on to number 13. The juice is worth the squeeze. A lot of juicy IPAs these days, hazy juicy IPAs.
You know, I'm thinking my first instinct was wrestling show, and I'm gonna follow my rule. I'm not gonna play the opposite game. I'm just gonna go with wrestling show.
You would be correct. Juice is worth the squeeze from Deathmatch Down Under. Again, we go to Deathmatch Down Under, and
I gotta tell you, to quote Agent Harris from The Sopranos, we're gonna win this thing.
I think you're doing pretty well. Yeah, you are on a what is it, a five streak here. 6 out of your last 7 as well. So let's keep going here. Sing-along deathmatch.
This sounds like you're trying to trick me. Okay? Obviously you're gonna want to say wrestling show. But that would be way too obvious. Like, why would you give me something called with deathmatch in the name if it wasn't the beer, right? So I'm gonna go against my new rule, because this would be pretty dumb to make it, unless you're trying to make me think.
Playing 4D chess here. Yeah, I'm playing 4D
yeah,
chess.
it's too obvious, and he's gonna say beer because he's gonna think that we're trying. Yeah. Oh man, sing-along deathmatch. No, I'm gonna stick with wrestling show.
You are incorrect. It is a beer from Jester King. It's a farmhouse ale, Joe. A Saison is one of your favorites type of beers, I'm sure. So, all right, your streak is over, but you can still do this. You can still do this. All right, Angels with Filthy Souls.
Wrestling show.
That is a beer from Bissell Brothers Brewing in Portland, Maine. A maple porter, Joe. A maple porter.
No one's drinking that shit.
Do you like maple porters?
No one's drinking that shit. I hate this game.
Just to check in, you have 8 incorrect answers and 7 correct answers. So
I got to get the next 3.
You got to get the next 3.
I got to get the next 3. Shit. All right.
Man's birthday celebration.
Beer.
I'm sorry, that is an Australian wrestling show from Australian Wrestling Superstars. Man's birthday celebration. I'm sorry to do this. So, Keegan Brettel defeated Captain Keto and Dragon in your main event of Nan's birthday celebration. Okay. So you can still, what can you can tie, definitely, you can tie, right? You have 9 incorrect, you have 7, so you can tie at best. That's what you can do here, okay?
And then you got to open your refrigerator and give me a tiebreaker.
Yes, I can do that. So, all right. Number 17 here, Octopus Wants to Fight.
Beer.
Correct. Great Lakes Brewery. IPA from Great Lakes Brewery. All right, so you are correct. This is it. Will Joe tie? Will he be more wrong than right? We will find out here with our number 18. Get Off My Cloud.
I haven't felt this much pressure.
Get Off My Cloud.
Since I reached the finals of the National Geographic Geography Bee in 8th grade.
Oh.
In Woodrow Wilson Middle School. And let me tell you something. Mr. Tiber did not want me to win. Trust me.
Oh, he rigged it against you, you think?
I mean, I feel like we had a contentious relationship, and he was maybe not rigging it, but giving me the harder questions. You know what I mean? Give me the name one more time.
The name again was Get Off My Cloud. Get Off of My Cloud. Sorry, Get Off of My Cloud.
Wrestling show. Lock it in.
Oh, I am very sorry. That is a beer.
Oh.
From Boojum Brewing. It's a hazy IPA. You have failed. A craft beer or indie show name. Do you want to know my tiebreaker, just in case?
Sure.
Okay, I found this one here as a tiebreaker. I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
Somehow that's a beer?
This is indeed a beer. I thought it would be. It also sounds like a Progress name or a Zack Sabre Jr. like submission holds.
Definitely. Definitely.
It's an annoying beer. That is an annoying beer. I like beer, but that's annoying. If I had to order that, I would be like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not ordering.
Yeah, that's the other thing. How can you even order that?
Yeah, just give me the stout. You give me what stout? You know which one I'm asking for. I'm not gonna say the whole fucking thing. Just give me the damn beer. All right, come on.
Just give me the Molson. They still make Molson.
give me the Falstaff and call it a day.
Yeah. Iron City, they make that stuff.
Ooh, I don't know if they still make Iron City. Iron City beer. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Do they still make old? Do they still make Old Smuggler whiskey?
That I don't know. Yeah, I don't drink.
Old Smuggler
bad whiskey. So, all right.
Looks like they do. Yeah, Old Smuggler whiskey. There it is.
There you go. All right. Well, that was craft beer or indie show names. So, there you go. It went a little longer than I anticipated, but I had fun. As long as you had fun. So.
Is $15 expensive for a whiskey, or is that?
No, that's pretty. For like, what are we talking? Like a whole bottle of it?
Yeah, it's a fucking bottle of whiskey.
That's incredibly
Old Smuggler.
cheap. No, that's incredibly cheap. Yeah, that's pretty good.
So that's like drinking turpentine.
Yeah, that can't be good. That's got to be absolutely horrendous. Because I would say around me, like a bottle of like Jack Daniels is like, I don't know, like $40 or whatever, $35, $40 or whatever. So how much was this Old Smuggler?
You can get Old Smuggler Scotch for $14.95.
Wow, I should maybe get that just to try it out. Maybe next flagship, I'll try some Old Smuggler Scotch and see.
Their finest blend whiskey is the Scotch and whiskey the same thing? I know that
there's differences, but we're not going to get into it here. But
is $30.99, so they have a
premium brand. Yeah, that's a more that's a more comparable price to what you normally see. But I like the idea of the $14.99. That's a lot of liquor for $14. I mean, it's interesting. I'll have to check that out. Maybe next week on the flagship, I'll give you a review. A rich drinks of what was this Old Smugglers?
Old Smuggler whiskey. Okay. I have a very low level friend who enjoys that, and we make fun of him for it. Yes.
Like earnestly enjoys it, not even like an ironic thing, like because there's like the hey, I just drink it because like it's cheap thing or whatever. But then there's like the people that will tell you, no, this horrible alcohol is actually good, and you're like, it's not, man. Just say it's okay.
No, I swear to God, I went to this guy's house once, and he was drinking a beer out of a can that didn't have any words on the can. It just had a bear with a fish in its mouth. It was a bear, like, standing in a brook with like a fucking rainbow trout hanging out of its mouth, and the bear's fucking paws were up in the air like that, and that was the can. And I was like, what the fuck is that? It had
no name, no label, nothing?
I mean, it may have had, like, the calorie content thing or whatever, but it didn't have like a brand name on it. It was just a bear with a trout in its mouth and its paws. And for years, I've been trying to search and figure out what the fuck
what this beer was. Interesting. I will.
He just buys whatever's cheapest when he goes to the liquor
Okay.
store, and his goal is to be as drunk as he can be as soon as he can be.
Okay. Hey,
So-
efficient. Efficiency is not always a bad idea. So good for him.
Yeah. Did the Simpsons ever market Duff beer as a real thing?
They did, I believe.
You
Yeah,
got it, right?
I
mean, they had-
purchased it one time at there was a while there where they would take over like 7-Elevens in the areas and they would turn them into quickie marts, and we went to a few of them and they would sell Duff beer there, but it was just, I don't even know what it was. It was just some generic beer. But I have a can in my house.
Someone's saying the bear beer is Hams. Does that sound familiar?
Oh yeah,
Hams?
that'd be Hams for sure.
That be it? Hams.
That's a very cheap solid beer for.
I don't know. These Hams cans all have. It says.
I mean, they're a little
Hams
bit
on
more
it.
intricately labeled than that, but I think that they do have like an alternate can that might be what you're thinking of.
Oh, I know what he's thinking. They have like a cartoon bear as
Correct.
their logo.
Yes.
No. This was like a brown grizzly bear standing in a brook with like rocks and like the
babbling
water.
brook.
Yeah, the water babbling in the background, and he had a fish in his mouth. The bear, and it didn't have
I
any
got it from like
words on it.
Aldi. You probably got it from like Aldi or something like that, right?
Yeah, I don't know the
The
fuck
Dollar
this
Tree.
was.
He got it from Dollar Tree or something. So
Yeah, I brought him Peroni once because it was Italian. Not that I know anything about beer, but I thought it'd be funny if I brought him Italian beer.
Yeah.
He acted like I brought him fucking beer dotted with gold. Like he thought it was like.
Poor guy.
I'm like, dude, I spent like $9.
Yeah, it's like $11. Calm down.
Yeah. I'm like, I just bought it as a gag because it said it was Italian. I don't, I can't
It's a good
believe
beer.
it.
It's a good beer. It is. Yeah.
And it tastes good.
It's good for $11. I mean, it's not like, I don't
Yeah.
think I'd get that excited about drinking it, but it's a solid $11 beer.
Well, he
so.
drinks beer with a bear on the
He
can.
drinks non-discreet.
An old smuggler whiskey. So, it probably was. Someone else is saying it's Schmidt's beer that has the bear
Schmidt's
on it.
beer from
Like
Schmidt's,
Mike Schmidt. Smelled like.
like Mike Schmidt's beer. Schmidt's beer. Let's see here.
Schmidt's.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, there's a
Maybe
beer on
there's a trout.
Hold on.
I see the trout.
There's
Yeah.
the bear. There's the bear with the trout. There it is.
After all
it.
this
Look
time,
at the
congratulations. Yeah.
I tried to tell you. See?
What
Everyone's
is
like,
this
Joe makes
beer?
up his bits. Look, there it is. It's got the bear. Look at the bear with the fish in the
I
mouth.
see it.
See
It is indeed eating a trout in a babbling brook. So you were not.
Yeah.
Man, this beer looks terrible. What the hell? Why is he drinking?
You gotta
this?
try it.
It looks like it's from like
gotta drink
1984. Was this current beer that he was drinking, or just like whatever he found in a fridge somewhere?
Let me tell you something. This man would drink anything he found in a fridge. So it could have been like
Yeah,
his
I was gonna say
grandfather's
like his
fucking-
dad left it over. It was next to the Red Dog or whatever, and his good lord, Schmidt's
There it
beer.
is.
Well, congratulations!
Look, they got cans with deer on them. They got cans with what looks like a ptarmigan. They got all kinds of fucking animals on their cans. This Schmidt's beer. Look at this guy. There's one with an ice fisherman pulling a fish out of a hole in the ice. Wow.
It's a common
They got
man's
some,
beer. Yeah, it's an everyman's beer.
It's common man's
It's
beer.
a Joe six pack
Absolutely.
type
Well,
of beer. Yeah.
Yeah. So we figured out that mystery, right? So there's one with an elk. All right. So it was Schmidt's beer.
Schmidt's beer.
Nice job out of who was this?
That was
here?
Shining Wizard, I believe, that gave you Schmidt's beer. So
All right. Nice job out of Shining Wizard. I don't know what's up with the gimmick name, but nice job out of Shining Wizard. What is this man, like a celebrity? He can't give his name. Oh, I'm the Shining Wizard. You know, that's like his FetLife handle, Shining Wizard. You know, he's into wax play. You know, he's into the wax play with the gimmick name over here. A lot of gimmick names in the chat tonight. The Swink. Look
Yes.
at this
Oh,
guy,
yeah.
the Swink. Yeah. So we got a lot of big shots here.
Charging
We can't give their
Sentinel.
real
Yeah,
name.
we got Charging Sentinel. Suit
No.
Williams. No, just classic Suit
Well,
Williams. He doesn't need that.
That's just a pseudonym. That's just
No.
that's a pen name. That's like Stephen King as Richard Bachman. You know, you can let that one slide. But it's like these other guys with the gimmick names, like, what are they hiding here? You know, it makes you wonder. Who are they? Who are
Doesn't
these
make me
men?
wonder.
You know, it makes me wonder. Charging Sentinel could be anybody. I mean, That could be a TK burner for all we know.
Yeah,
we don't know who Charging Sentinel is. So, let me tell you this. I've never seen Charging Sentinel in here on a Wednesday.
That's true. You're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So he's either she, whatever, is either a brand new subscriber, the flagshippatreon.com, or I think we can illicitly say a TK burner for sure. So I've never seen TK and Charging Sentinel in the same place at the same time. So
can't say you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, I guess we should talk about. This is the dumbest show. I cannot believe these people. Some people pay us $10 to listen to the show live, and this is what we give them for 45 minutes.
Been doing this for 10 years. Why?
And we're bigger than ever. More people listen to us than ever.
Why?
I don't understand. Oh my God. Well, all right. Hey, Joe, All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling, they announced a joint show. Did you hear about this? You've been reading about this? You've been seeing this?
There's a sponsor paying us to read an ad on this show.
I'm going to wait. That was my plan, is to go to the sponsor right away. But after you talked about wax fetishes on FetLife or whatever, I decided to give it a little bit of a gap. So we'll talk some wrestling and then get to our
Rich, have you ever had hot wax dripped onto your chest?
I have not. No.
I've never had that.
No.
You couldn't have answered that fast enough. You answered before I was done asking. You're like, no hot wax, Joe. Never had hot wax on my chest. You know why I don't?
I have too much chest hair. That would not go very well for me in particular.
Exactly.
That would be very bad for me.
I'm a hairy Italian man, and I don't want hot wax anywhere near me, because that's soon going to turn into cold wax. And it's going to be in my chest hairs for, that's not coming out.
No, it's going to be an absolute mess. Yeah, not worth whatever amount of, pleasure I briefly get out. Not worth it, because it'll be a lot less pleasure as I'm ripping, chest hair out to get this fucking cold wax out of my chest. So yeah, no, not into that.
Yeah. Ever with a lady who wanted to pour hot wax on you?
No, believe it or not, no, that never came up.
Right.
So yeah.
Listen, I don't know. People are into what they're into.
It never came up. No.
Never came up. No. Never. All right. Never suggested?
No, not really.
No. All right. I'm just curious.
Wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's called Forbidden Door, Joe. They're joining a show. It's going to be finally a show in Chicago, thank God. Sunday, June 26th at the United Center. I'm so glad I could finally go to a wrestling show. I cannot wait.
Starving for wrestling in Chicago.
I'm just dying to get a wrestling show here in my in the second city, Joe. And finally, the second city is going to get a wrestling show from All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's going to be called Forbidden Door. It's going to be on June 26th at the United Center. Here was the AEW press release. It said moments ago on AEW Dynamite, live on TBS, the hinges were fully ripped off the Forbidden Door as it was announced that AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling will present their first ever joint pay-per-view special.
Stop. Did he really say hinges were fully ripped off?
The hinges were fully ripped off the Forbidden Door.
I said that on the Thursday show today.
This press release came a day before. So you're either biting this press release, or I don't know.
And they're running Chicago again. When they're not in Chicago, they're in Texas. Makes you wonder.
Ask questions.
Yeah, ask the question. I don't think DK did too well in the geography bee, because he goes to like 2 states.
He only goes to your town and my town.
He goes to Texas and he goes to Chicago.
And that one time in California, yeah. But
I didn't run California yet.
And they did that one show, didn't they? Then they run, what was the town? It was a weird town in California that I've never heard of before, but they ran a town in California.
Doesn't everybody on every media call, when are you coming to California? I don't think they come to California.
No, they did that one show in California. I forget what it was. They definitely did at least one, right?
Imagine being one of the 13 or 14 people who get called on the media call and asking, are you going to run a show?
When are you running in California?
Like, who fucking
cares? The question
cares?
people are dying to know is, when are you running in California? Is
when are you coming to insert where I live? Nobody fucking cares but you. Like, why are you blowing this opportunity? You can ask anything. Anything! And that's what you ask.
Are you excited about the upcoming show? Yes, I am excited about the upcoming show. Thank you.
Yeah. What do you think he's going to say? Dummy. Like, don't even just get off. Like, just listen then. Like, you don't have to ask a question. That's what drives me nuts. Sports press conferences too. When those people do, they just ask the most, how'd it feel to get the win tonight? Why are you asking that? Don't ask. Let someone else ask a question. Anyway, go ahead with this press release.
Yeah, I can't believe that people have gotten through, because I'll tell you, like, high school coaches would destroy me if I asked a dumb question like that.
Yeah.
They would say, like, well, what do you think? Why would you ask that? What do you think? How do you think I feel?
I would be the pro athlete that would have Hall of Fame numbers who didn't get voted into the Hall of Fame.
Right, you would be Frank Thomas, who got in the Hall of Fame, but like a very surly asshole that everybody hated. Or there are some guys that are right on the cusp there that are like, yeah, this dude was a fucking asshole. So,
well, maybe it's because you asked stupid questions.
Right?
Maybe
exactly.
Yeah. Right. Like Steve Carlton had that rep.
Oh my God, yeah, Carlton had that. Yeah, there's also the like, hey, talk about. The question starts with talk about. No, ask a question and I'll answer it. I'm not going to talk about something because you want me to talk about it. Ask a question, I'll answer that question. I'm not talking about it.
Especially since I just went 3 1/3 and got bombed for 8 runs.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Talk about what you were feeling on the mound there. What do you think I was feeling?
I'm feeling like they're going to send me to AAA. What do you want me to say?
I feel like I can't put food on the table is what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So.
I stunk tonight, and my wife's pregnant, and you're asking me how I felt. Yeah, it's awful. It's not just the wrestling people who don't know how to ask a decent question. Believe me, it's pretty widespread throughout the sports landscape. What's the rest of this
the press release continues. As the world continues to reopen, I'm making sure the Forbidden Door follows suit, and we can finally give fans the dream event they've always imagined. The United Center was home to one of AEW's biggest events of all time, The First Dance, where CM Punk made his return to wrestling. Oh, yeah, that was in Chicago. I forgot. Yeah, great. Maybe we did get a few shows this last year. Not bad. All right, this summer, fans of AEW and New Japan can't expect the unexpected during this extraordinary first-of-its-kind pay-per-view between our two incredible companies. And then Takami Obari, president of New Japan, says, as we have done for more than 50 years, the power of pro wrestling can energize people by fulfilling their dreams. Reel it in, pal. Jesus Christ.
Wow, yeah, geez. Pump the brakes,
it's a wrestling
Obari.
show, man. Come on.
Yeah, God.
And now it's quite an important mission for us, the pro wrestling industry as a whole. We are not only opening this door, we will show you New Japan's genuine, strong style beyond the Forbidden Door.
Yeah. It was funny. The first tweet that AEW put out last night or whatever, the very first reply was someone saying, I guess there won't be any women on this show. Like, they can't even, no one can be happy for 5 seconds. Like, the first reply was someone complaining that New Japan doesn't have women's wrestlers, so there aren't going to be women's matches on the show. Right. Which, by the way,
you're potentially 2 months away from like Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson or Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan Danielson, and you're like, so we're not going to see Ruby Soho on the show? No, probably not. You probably are not going to see Ruby Soho.
No, but this is the other thing. It's not even AEW versus New Japan. Who the fuck says there won't be a Thunder Rosa title match or something on the show?
But already getting upset about something.
But these psychopaths, these fucking stopwatch slappers cannot contain themselves for 30 seconds. It's amazing. Anyway, is that the whole press release?
That is the press release. So yeah, Obari getting big time here with the power of pro wrestling can energize people by fulfilling their dreams, which I enjoyed. And that was a mission for the pro wrestling industry as a whole as well, to fulfill dreams. So good for them. Tony is just like, we're going to do a show in the United Center. Yeah, we're going to be there. So anyway, this is Forbidden Door, AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling. Super J-Cast on the Voice Wrestling Podcast Network was first with the scoop on having this show, and you heard it here first. And many people have credited them properly. Some others have not, but most of them have, which is good because they were indeed the first ones that had it for the AEW New Japan Forbidden Door show, June 26th at the United Center in Chicago. But Joe, what are you thinking about what we're seeing here? I mean, how could you not be pumped up and excited for whatever this is going to be?
I think we should have scooped him last week and stabbed him in the back and revealed it on our show.
Yeah.
And started one of those radio show wars that were big in the 90s, like try to drum up some ratings.
Oh, like intra-station, where they do cross-talks or like transitions and it's real contentious. Some guys won't show up for it. And used to have it in Chicago sports radio. There would be these two guys that would host like the morning show and the two guys would host the afternoon show. But then at some point, one guy from the afternoon show would just stop showing up because he just couldn't handle being in the same area. And then they had to do these like transitions like in different floors of the radio station because these guys would come to blows if they were too close to each other. That's some good stuff. That's some good old school sports radio stuff. So
yeah, or like in the 90s when like Howard Stern would start a radio war with Mancow or something, and then and because it drums up interest and it drums up ratings. We should have scooped the Super J Cast guys when we had the info and stabbed them in the back pro wrestling style. But yeah, I mean, this is going to sell out within minutes. We all know that. And I think the pay-per-view, provided they put real matches on the show, and it's not Japanese style with a series of 6-man tags. And I don't think they're going to do that, provided it's a real show and provided they promote it properly the way they would promote any other AEW pay-per-view, which I also think they will do. I think the pay-per-view is going to do very well too, right in range with the other AEW pay-per-views, and maybe the biggest one they've ever done, with the exception of All Out. I think this, if they treat it big, I think it will be big. I've seen some people say they think the pay-per-view might not perform, or I don't buy that. I think that if they treat it like it's a big deal from a business perspective, it will perform like a big deal.
Well, I just don't understand that argument off the top, because okay, so why would, you're an AEW viewer, Joe? You're a Joe Sixpack, as we mentioned earlier. You drink your Schmitz beer, your Joe Sixpack, whatever. So you watch AEW pay-per-views. You've bought Revolution, you bought All Out, you bought all those sort of things. Why would you not buy this show if it's going to be promoted? I mean, yes, the one way that you would not buy the show is if CM Punk's not on it and Daniel Bryanson's not on it, and there's weird, these, they're only 6-man tags, but like if Punk is on there and he's in a singles match and it's an important match, which I'm sure it would, if he's on there and it's in a singles match, it's going to be important. Danielson's in an important match. Kenny Omega makes his return or whatever. He's just about ready to come back or whatever. And then they present the other guys that you might not know as Joe Sixpack. You might not know who Hiroshi Tanahashi is just yet, but they're going to present him as a big deal. You might not know who Jay White is, but you watched Dynamite this week and everybody went nuts when he came out there. Like, why would you not watch this show? Like, if all the stars of AEW are going to be there and you watch AEW, what is stopping you from saying, I can't buy this show? I forget it. I'll buy All Out. I'll buy, Full Gear, but I'm not buying Forbidden Door. No way.
Yeah, no, that's why I think it's going to do well. And I've also heard, they have a pay-per-view just a month after or a month, but well, so what? I mean, pro wrestling fans are all we heard for the last 3 years was how AEW could use more pay-per-views. Now they add this fifth one here, which is an enormous super show with New Japan. And now all of a sudden the shows are too close to each other and nobody's going to buy it. People got to make up their minds. So, are you there?
Yeah, I am there. Yeah. Joe Sixpack is just going to turn into a corn cob immediately because he doesn't know who, Kazuchika Okada is. So, Tomohiro Ishii, I can't watch. I can't. I must turn into mush. I'm a corn cob. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Why would it not be a big deal? Yeah. Like, if they're going to treat it like a big deal, they're going to promote the fucking hell out of it, and it's going to have all the stars of AEW. Why would you not buy it? Why would people not buy it? I just don't understand this argument. Like, maybe they won't. Like, I don't know. Maybe they won't, but how could you assume that they wouldn't? What is different about this show other than that they might treat it like a bigger deal, and it might be even a more gigantic of a deal, and it's a one-of-a-kind type of show versus all their other pay-per-views where you might see matchups that you maybe even have seen before already, or rematches or whatever. It's one-of-a-kind matches, with probably all the stars of AEW. I don't understand why Joe Sixpack wouldn't buy this show if he bought Revolution, but...
Well, again, it's not AEW versus New Japan. So... there's nothing stopping AEW from putting their own stars against each other in some of the... Yes, you're going to get some matches that are... because that's the hook, right? So you're going to get some matches that are cross-promotional, of course, and I'm sure the main event will be. But that doesn't mean that, if he's still champion, Hangman Page can't have a title match against somebody in the company.
Right.
That doesn't mean that New Japan can't have a never title match with their own wrestlers. It doesn't mean you can't have Thunder Rosa versus, Britt Baker, or Britt Baker versus Jade Cargill or something on the show. You absolutely can have those matches. So, it's, so yeah, I see no reason why this pay-per-view can't perform just as well. If I believe
Oh, we're having some technical difficulties here. Joe's
Read it.
we'll get Joe here back in a second. Yeah, we've
AEW
had a lot of
pay-per-views.
issues lately. All right, Joe, are you back?
Yeah. Did everything I say come out on the show?
No,
or
literally nothing. Literally nothing you just said came out. Whatever you said over the last 30 seconds, nobody heard. It was very bad. So
unbelievable.
I'm sure it was great.
I talking about?
It was a great diatribe that unfortunately we'll never get back.
I think I was repeating the point that it's not AEW versus New Japan. There's
Right.
nothing stopping Jade Cargill versus Britt Baker or Hangman from having a title match. Did you hear that part?
I did, yes. Yeah.
There's nothing stopping them from doing that, or New Japan having their own matches with the cross-promotional matches as well. And I think, AEW, the people who buy AEW pay-per-views are going to buy this one. And what about all the New Japan fans who might not necessarily be AEW fans or be big enough fans to buy their pay-per-views? If you have big New Japan matches on this show, or you have big New Japan stars having first-time matchups against big AEW stars, there's New Japan fans that are going to be into this. So I think this has a chance to not just be as big as the pay-per-views.
I think we might watch Joe again. But as we get him back, my what I was going to say about that is, right, and it's exactly the point you were bringing up there, Joe, is that I think that it can only do better. I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to do better. I have no idea. I have no earthly idea what it's going to be. It's hard to say when we don't have any matches announced. We have no idea what's actually happening. We have no idea who's going to be on whatever. But like, what I can tell you though is that AEW pay-per-views have seen some decent growth over the years, so there are new people buying these shows, and their pay-per-views have been by and large pretty damn good over the last year or so. I think every pay-per-view has been pretty solid, and the last couple have been really really good in my mind. So you have a little bit more of your AEW fans that are investing in these pay-per-views now, investing in them a little bit more, understanding that their money is going to be worth it, that understanding they're going to get a really good show. Where there was a time period for sure where some of those AEW pay-per-views were not great, and they did end on sour notes, or they were kind of iffy or so or whatever. That's kind of been done. I mean, they've really delivered big, with recent pay-per-views. So you have those fans already that are already buying the shows. And then, there's just an entire other, not a very big fan base, but there is a fan base out there. There might be people that casually check out AEW or checked out AEW when it first started, but have kind of not seen it recently or watched it recently or whatever. There's those fans as well that might be hooked into buying this. If it's, oh, hey, wow, it's Okada versus Punk. Oh my God. Like that's an incredible match or whatever. And there's some really, really interesting stuff here for kind of deep wrestling fans that maybe have not bought AEW pay-per-views, or deeper, Japan wrestling fans that have not watched, AEW or bought an AEW pay-per-view. This opens up to them as well. So I just don't understand why the inclusion of bigger stars is going to somehow result in this not selling as much as All Out, or not selling as much as a Revolution or whatever. So I just don't buy it. But again, like, we have no idea. This is all being said with the idea that they're going to treat this like a big deal. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't treat it like a big deal, but we'll have to see. I mean, if it's a bunch of six-mans and it's all just AEW,
not a chance.
Like I agree. I don't think that's the chance, but like, just in case people are like, you guys said it was going to be a big deal, and then now it's not a big deal, or you know what I mean? Like that's not that that's going to happen, but like, I think it's going to be a big show. It's going to be treated as a big show. But and if it is, then I think it's going to sell. It's going to sell well. Like, I just don't understand why, in what universe this would be something that somebody would not want to see. If you're a wrestling fan, if you're a New Japan fan or an AEW fan, I mean, why would you not want to watch this? And it's kind of perplexing to me, but
Well, the rumored main event was Punk and Okada. Look, I don't know if they're still going to do that, but that was the rumored main event even before the news broke that they were going to be doing this show. In order to get to that match, you have to get through one AEW pay-per-view where Punk is presumably be in a title match against Hangman Page. You've got to get through two New Japan major shows where Okada has to get through Tetsuya Naito. And then if he wins that match, he'd have to get through whoever's his challenger is going to be at Dominion. So if they do that match, there's a chance that both of them are world champions. There's a chance that neither of them are world champions. There's a chance that one or the other is a world champion. If one or the other is a champion, they're going to win, right? If they're both champion, then you're getting a 60-minute draw. And if neither one of them are champion, then there's a chance that one guy could win and then the other guy gets the win back at some point down the line. Maybe Punk wins on his home turf, and then Punk goes to Japan and loses to Okada at Wrestle Kingdom or something. I'm just throwing that out there. So there's a lot that has to happen before we even get to this show in terms of, and then looking at the matches that are booked and the politics that are going to come into play. But if you've got a Punk Okada main event and you think this pay-per-view is going to bomb or not do as well as the typical AEW pay-per-view, you're out of your mind. You have no feel for the business.
Well, yeah, and it's like these people are acting like, and again, we come from a standpoint of we understand, we've been watching New Japan forever. We know all these wrestlers. People listen to this. Most people listen to this, I think, are consistent watchers of New Japan or have been at some point. You all know the names. Like, it's not like Tatsumi Fujinami falling into WCW and main eventing, Starrcade. What was it, Starrcade 91 or whatever, where Fujinami main evented, and it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, that's 1991. Like, if there's going to be people, and you're going to see these absolute fucking frauds tweeting, again, let's go with the hypothetical of Okada versus Punk or whatever. There's going to be people saying, nobody knows who Okada is. Like, no one's going to buy it. It's like, they people fucking know who Okada is. Shut the hell up. Like, they know who these guys are. They know who Tanahashi is. They know who Okada was. They announced Tomohiro Ishii at the show. It got a fucking massive pop on Dynamite or whatever. Get out of here. I mean, you're going to see those fraud tweets. You just expect them, get ready for them. They're there, but you just don't have to listen to them. You can ignore those people because those people, like I said, have just no feel for the wrestling business anymore. This isn't 1991. This isn't 1970. People are well aware of who these guys are, even if they know, I have friends who know who Okada, they have probably seen one Okada match ever. They've heard, maybe, but they know who this guy is. They know he's good. They know he's a big deal. They know he's a star, whatever. They just don't watch Japanese wrestling for whatever reasons. But like, they know who those guys are. It's not, and again, like if it's Punk versus a guy that you don't know, but they build up that guy as being a big fucking deal, and this guy's gonna be on Dynamite, and this guy's huge, and people go nuts, like, you're gonna want to watch that. Like, if people are going to want to watch that. So it's just, it's perplexing to me to see that the pretzels that people are already twisting themselves in to say, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is gonna work. Like, come on.
Yeah. So you've got the built-in Moxley Ospreay match if you want to do that, coming off of the match in Chicago they just had last week, and it would be a rematch in the same town, which would make sense. I mean, there's a lot of different things they could do. They're already setting up an Elite versus Bullet Club match, so you're going to get something like that. That fell flat. They tried to do the announcement with Adam Cole and Jay White, and they were planting seeds for some kind of tag match, and the people live there they were expecting, when they heard Jay White's music, they were wanting Jay White to do some kind of physical angle or surprise match or something. But they were planting seeds for the Elite versus Bullet Club, and it just kind of fell flat. So you're going to get something in that direction. So, and people are into, the Bullet Club is still enormously popular. The Elite is still obviously very popular, and there's going to be interest in any kind of match they do with those guys. So, I don't know. I again, provided they promote it well, and I have every reason to believe they will. I mean, and like you said, look at the pop that Adam Cole Ishii got when Cole announced that last night. I mean, the place went apeshit for that. You're telling me these people don't know who Kazuchika Okada is? I mean, it's completely absurd. Completely absurd.
Can we also talk about that we're getting a New Japan All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view? Fucking awesome. I mean, wrestling is so cool right now. Wrestling is great. It's so good.
Anyone who downplays it is they're out to lunch. They're either have an agenda, or they just don't understand, or they're just repeating talking points from, pundits and grifters who have reason to downplay anything that AEW does. Your Eric Bischoffs, people with no credibility to people who understand the wrestling business, and you're smarter. Like, Eric Bischoff doesn't have any credibility with anybody. Like, Disco Inferno has no credibility with anybody with a brain. And then people repeat their talking points, the talking points from these guys. I mean, and the big one now that everybody just dutifully repeats is that AEW isn't growing their audience, and it's this perplexing puzzle as to what what do they need to do to grow their audience? What is the code they need to crack to grow their audience?
Which is the best part. These are being earnestly discussed. Like there's Eric Bischoff has a Business of Wrestling show, and one of the main topics is, why is AEW not growing? Like what
right.
Concerning. Oh, it's very concerning that AEW is not growing. What can they do to grow? Why are they not growing? What mistakes are they making? What can they? Eric, they need to grow and they're not growing. Why are they not growing? And it's like, dude,
there's been a million takes from outlets in the last 24 hours since this announcement, where basically the take is, yeah, this is going to be really cool for us and for fans like us, but man, this just isn't going to grow the AEW audience. And it's like, and they just can't grow their audience. And it's kind of become an accepted talking point because of people like Eric Bischoff and Disco Inferno and Cheeseboard Guy. And I'm probably giving him too much credit because no one even knows he exists. And all of these other, pundits, that just repeat this when the facts are right in front of their face. They consistently tell you that AEW isn't growing and can't grow. And look, I do this behind the paywall a lot, but I've never really done it here. I mean, Rich, just to explain this to our free listeners and anybody else who gets past this clip, because I think there's a lot of people who just are completely ignorant to this because they just parrot these pundits who don't know what they're talking about, either through ignorance or because it's agenda driven. But either way, it's nonsense. Rich, since April of 2021, and I know you know this, but since April of 2021, and I know our paying customers know this because I talk about it all the time behind the paywall on the Thursday show. Since April of 2021, I'm going to go, and that's a year. That's a fucking year. I'm going to go right down the line and tell you the growth that Dynamite has had each month, year over year, since April of 2021.
Now, so hold on a minute. Growth?
Growth. These are facts.
Are you sure? Because I'm told, I'm under the assumption they're not growing, Joe. So, okay, try.
Because these people
try to convince me the other way with your
because for
facts.
some reason there's this talking point that they're not growing and they cannot grow their audience because they keep doing things like New Japan Super shows that only serve their current audience. And yet, here is the year-over-year growth of Dynamite since April 21. I'm going to give you each month, and they're not small numbers. April 2021, up 44%. May, 31%. June, 26%. July, 38%. August, 23%. September, 33%. October, 30%. November, 22%. December, the only month without growth, they were flat. January, up 36%. February, up 24%. March, up 29%. That's total viewership of Dynamite, which allegedly is not growing if you listen to these imbeciles. That's not conjecture. That's not me giving an opinion. It's math. That is courtesy of WrestleNomics. You can get it from the Observer. You can get it yourself if you look up the numbers. Those are the growth figures of the total viewership of Dynamite over the past year, month by month. But these people will tell you they cannot figure out how to grow. And I'm not going to torture the listeners with the 18 to 49 numbers, but they're the same.
They're also growing in those, yes.
Despite
not growing.
By large double-digit percentages every single month since last April, with the exception of December,
right.
When they had a down month.
With a channel change in between that as well, which is an interesting thing as well, because we know people that study the wrestling business will tell you that most times when you switch networks, that is a detriment for a while. It takes a long time for people to come back, and some people never come back. TNA multiple times over would switch networks, switch channels, switch time slots, switch times or whatever, and every single time they would lose a bunch of people, they'd gain them slowly back, but a lot of times they didn't come back. And little by little, over time, they stopped getting those people back and stopped getting them back, and every single time they changed, they basically hemorrhaged viewers over and over again. AEW pretty much lost nobody and gained a lot of people, so it ended up working out pretty well for them to move to TBS.
Do you know who has negative growth year over year since November of 2021?
Negative. So is it a
total,
pro wrestling company, Joe, that does this?
In total viewership,
okay.
Negative growth 4 out of the last 6 months.
Interesting. Okay.
It's
a wrestling company, right?
It's a television show. It is the show with the needle mover, Roman Reigns, SmackDown.
Oh,
negative
WWE's Friday Night SmackDown on Fox, right?
Has negative growth year over year, 4 out of the last 6 months. How come people aren't asking what WWE has to do to gain new viewers and crack the mystery?
Oh, well,
that's just viewer.
The landscape, Joe. The cord cutters. It's just the cord cutters, Joe. Come on.
Can you take a wild guess?
YouTube. Are those Joe? Are streaming counted in those ratings you're using? That's the thing.
Can you take a guess which show has negative growth 7 consecutive months over the last 7 months in year-over-year viewership?
Would it be World Wrestling Entertainment's Monday Night Raw is War program?
You would be correct.
Oh.
Meanwhile, while SmackDown and Raw
does that count streaming? that's my favorite.
Well,
anytime, Brandon Thurston will tweet out, like, this is the lowest Raw rating since, last February or whatever. Somebody goes, yeah, but what about streaming? Does this count streaming? It's like, they count streaming. They've been doing it for years. They count streaming, yes. They count streaming, yes.
Yeah. So meanwhile, while Raw and SmackDown lose viewers year over year, somehow, that company gets lauded for their ability to reach the casual viewer.
They do a great job of that.
Right? Yeah. And finding new viewers, because they've got one of the Paul brothers and
Johnny Knoxville.
What's Johnny Knoxville? And they
Bad Bunny, multi something.
Whatever reason
star.
they give.
Yeah, Bad Bunny.
They've got the needle mover, Roman Reigns, on SmackDown. Right? Meanwhile, Dynamite has monster double-digit growth. Some months over 40%, most months over 30%, all months over 20% year over year. And we're sitting here wondering how they can crack the code to grow and find new viewers. Because Eric Bischoff, who's clueless, a clueless, grifting idiot, a certified all-time fraud, says so. Eric Bischoff has access to the same numbers I'm looking at. I'm sure he, is aware of Brandon Thurston. He follows him on Twitter. He can shell out the $5 for the spreadsheet I'm looking at. He's aware of Dave Meltzer. He probably subscribes to the Observer, even though he buries it any chance he gets. Because that's
he used to be a source of the Observer, but sorry, what was that? I'm sorry, that's so weird, but yeah.
None of these ratings
numbers.
To
Dave a lot every week.
None of these ratings numbers are. It's all public. You can find this publicly.
Yes.
You can do the numbers.
You could honestly follow one person. You can follow one person to get everything that you need.
You could do it yourself. I'm not pulling numbers. This is all public. So what? So how? How is this? How you listen to any of these dopey ringer podcasts? AEW, they just can't find a way to grow. They're the show that's growing exponentially every month. The other shows are not. How about NXT? You want to throw them in, Rich?
Oh, God. What a bloodbath. No, I don't think I want to, but actually I do. Go ahead. Yeah, Barry, let's find out what NXT 2.0 is doing.
7 straight months of negative year-over-year growth.
Yeah.
Same as Raw.
After they went up against AEW, got absolutely piss-pounded and had to move over to Tuesdays, yes.
I will now read you Raw's year-over-year negative growth each month, starting with September of 2021. -4, 14, 14, 22, 24, 10, 10, and currently year-to-date, week-to-date in April, 4. Those are all negative numbers. Negative growth in the demo. Even bigger numbers than their total viewership. We all know that that WWE struggles with the younger viewer. They're losing more and more of them. NXT. It's mad dope, yo. It's geared toward the youth.
It's the business. Yes, yeah, of course.
Do you want to hear their year-over-year negative growth?
Probably not, but go ahead.
Let's start with May 2021. And these are all negative numbers. 4, 6, 2, 20, 4. And get ready for this run. 18, 11, 21, 17, 18, 19. And week to date in April, negative 43% growth in 18 to 49.
Dear God. They've lost almost 50% of their young viewers.
So I contend to you, and I wasn't going to do it, but let me do it. From April 2021, here is Dynamite's growth in 18 to 49.
All right.
These are all positive numbers. 39, 24, 37, 37, 20, 32, 27, 11. Negative growth in December. Remember, they did have the bad month. And then starting in January 2022. 38, 17, 30. And they're up 6% week to date in April. So, those are all facts. Those are all numbers. I will toss in the fact that every pay-per-view, did you know this, Rich? That every pay-per-view that AEW has ever done has had year-over-year growth over the same pay-per-view the year before. I know you knew that, Rich. It's rhetorical.
It's those are staggering numbers. Bravo.
So it's not just Dynamite with massive year-over-year growth every month. It's the pay-per-views. And we could get very granular and look at YouTube. Well, we're not going to do that. The point here is Dynamite and pay-per-views, the two most high-profile and arguably the two most important things, massive year-over-year growth. Go peruse Twitter, and even people who should know better will tell you that AEW just can't figure out how to grow. They can't reach new viewers, Rich. They can't do it. Why? This is what these people surmise. They're busy just making their core fan base happy.
Yeah.
They can't reach the casual viewer. They can't reach the new viewer. Yet, double-digit growth in basically every metric under the sun for a year. This is not a hot streak of 60 days. It's been a year. That's called a trend. I mean, what are we doing here? I would contend, Rich Craich, that there is in fact a pro wrestling company that exists in America that is failing to reach new viewers and is failing to reach the casual viewer. And that company is WWE, who isn't growing by the consumer metrics. In fact, their shows are going backwards. Yes, he is the needle mover. And that needle is moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah, unfortunately, not the way it's supposed to go. Not the way his T-shirt goes. His T-shirt shows it going one way, but unfortunately, most of the metrics are going the other. So,
negative growth 4 of the last 6 months in total viewership. Yeah. SmackDown. Mm-hmm. Negative growth in the 18 to 49 demo. Each and every one of the last 6 months for SmackDown. So I ask you, Rich Craich, and I think everyone should start asking this question. What's WWE doing to reach new viewers? What are they doing? Because whatever they're doing is failing. It seems as though the company serving their customers and making their customer base happy is the one growing and magically finding new viewers. Why? Because the show's good. This isn't complicated. And slowly but surely, people are finding it. Because they don't intentionally shit on their audience like the other shows do. And that's why they have negative growth. The median viewer of NXT 2.0 last week was 60.1.
I saw that. They were 60 years old. For the hip cool show, yeah.
Where's Eric Bischoff talking about WWE not being able to find
Yeah, getting older by the fucking day.
He has a wrestling business podcast, and he doesn't know anything.
He's been fired from all of this recent wrestling.
He doesn't know anything, Rich.
The last time he did anything resembling anything sort of any modicum of success in the wrestling business was 24 years ago, Joe. The last time he was successful, I was 11.
I mean, why are you giving him an outlet? I know why. Somehow people are listening to it. I mean, even with this announcement of this super show, this is what we're seeing. And I'm not talking about Twitter eggs. I'm talking about people who have podcasts and run wrestling sites.
People that make a lot of money doing this, like some modicum of money doing this.
And their reactions are, oh, well, this is great for the core fan base. There's AEW again, refusing to grow. The numbers are right in front of your face. You choose not to look at them. Because you're lazy, you don't know how to do your job, and you do a poor job. These people stink, and it's time to start calling them out. They're clueless. They're ignorant. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and not call them dumb. But in some cases, we know they are. And we need to start calling these people out. It's a joke.
Yeah, and I will say that you published something this week at flagshippatreon.com about, casual fans and the casuals and that sort of stuff. And it became a talking point. A lot of I mean, I saw it everywhere for the last few days was people discussing the casual fans, discussing this sort of stuff. And I will say what I have noticed this week more than almost any other week ever. And I don't know if it's 100% because of you. I don't know if it's partially because of you. I don't know. Mostly, whatever it is, like, regardless if it was you or not, like, what I am glad to see is this week I've seen a lot of people saying, we need to stop with this casual fan bullshit. We need to stop with this. What about these fans? What about and people saying, okay, let's move past that dumb argument because the argument's stupid. It's dumb at a point, but like, let's start now pushing back against that argument and saying, okay, so if there are this hypothetical casual fan, what do these casual fans want? Instead of just saying, oh, this isn't what casual, casual
fans
they? These casual fans don't like this. Oh, they're not going to like this.
Identify them. Who are they, too?
Yeah, who are these people? What do they like? What do they watch? Why are they not watching wrestling? When did they first watch wrestling? How do you, let's start putting some actual, analytical thought into this, other than just saying, I don't know, how's this going to grow the casual fan? Okay, we've moved past that. Okay, how are they going to grow the, okay, whatever. You tell us. You're the smart ones. You're the one running a show about the wrestling business. Start telling us. How do you reach casual fans? What is the secret sauce that nobody is doing that is apparently very easy and very simple to do? What's this thing that is not being done that you would do? Who are these fans? Identify them. Do some demographic data on them. How old are they? What do they like? If you really want to keep trotting out this tired, old, boring, bullshit casual fan thing, then all right, let's start seeing some stuff here. Let's start actually talking facts. Let's get analytical about this. Who are these people? What do they watch? Why do they want to watch it? Why are they not watching wrestling? What are they consuming other than wrestling? Let's get into this because...
And step one, Rich, and you're absolutely right. Step one is, though, identify who these people are.
Right.
Because and what Rich is referring to is I wrote an article behind the paywall where I dig deep into this idea of, the casual fan. And to me, just look at the title of the article. The title of the article is The Safety Blanket of the Stupid. And what that refers to is the safety blanket of the stupid is the casual fan argument. Because it's like Rich is saying, they can't explain to you how to capture the casual fan, this alleged casual fan. They can't explain to you what the casual fan, this alleged casual fan is seeking. They can't even identify who the casual fan is. That is because in the way that I'm not saying that there aren't casual fans of pro wrestling, because obviously there are, but not in the way that these people throw around the term. When they throw around this term, they're just using a safety blanket. It's a get out of jail free card for any debate, because at this point, people just love to say when they aren't interested in something that this mythical, unidentifiable casual fan must not be interested in something. And it's just a bullshit argument that says nothing. What it says to me is you're too dumb to formulate a real argument because you can't identify who it is. And like Rich is saying, you can't identify what it is this alleged fan is looking for. And when you apply it to AEW and say that they can't grow and they're not doing things for casual fans, you look even dumber because I just read the numbers to you. Dynamite's the show that is growing by massive numbers, huge double-digit numbers every month. That's the one that's growing. You should be applying these questions to Raw and SmackDown, which are not growing, which in fact are losing viewers. And they'll turn around and say, oh, well, the television overall is losing. Well, okay, well, then isn't that even more impressive what Dynamite is
That's
doing?
what I was going to say, and I meant to put a pin in that because when you were discussing that, I was going to say, well, the retort for all the negative WWE numbers is, well, people are cutting the cord, people are watching on YouTube, people are watching Netflix, people aren't doing that, yada, 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 whatever. But, like, okay, then explain why AEW is somehow not, if that is true, which I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm not saying that the cable industry, that TV in general, that ratings in general have taken a massive hit from all those different factors. Everybody knows that. Everybody agrees on there's not a single person on earth that hasn't thought of that. It's always the first reply is, what about streaming numbers? And well, there's people that cord cut. We all know. We're all aware of what the landscape is. With that being said, though, now you need to also let me know why, despite all of those factors, why AEW is still growing. Why the NFL year over year had growth in the ratings. Why the NBA playoffs this year has huge growth year over year in their ratings. Why MLB last year, we talked about it a lot of times last year, was getting big growth year over year. Even going back to 2019 as well, even skipping COVID years or whatever. And there are a lot of companies are doing that now. I know the NBA recently sent out a press release and they just skipped 2020. They're like, look, whatever. We know that was a weird year, it was strange, whatever. We're not even counting those years in ratings anymore. Our playoffs are up over what they were in 2019 or whatever. You now have to explain that, yes, while those are all factors, why Netflix and YouTube and cord cutting and all that stuff are factors, you have to explain why some of these entities it doesn't seem to be affecting, and at least in the pro wrestling sphere, if you're going to say, well, what about this and this and this, you have to identify why one of these other shows is not losing viewers and is in fact gaining viewers in this apparently barren, awful, horrible, apocalyptic landscape that is television. You now have to explain that. Again, you can't just say stuff anymore. I think we need to get to a point where we're not just going to let people just say shit because they say shit, push back on it and say, okay, well, why then is AEW not affected by cord cutters? Why then is AEW not affected by people watching Netflix instead? Why is the NBA have huge growth over the last few years? Why does the NFL doing massive growth? These are all sports entities, and there's a wrestling entity that is growing year over year in the ratings and in their demos or whatever. Explain that if this is apparently a landscape that is just unachievable, that you cannot possibly win in this landscape that it is right now when there are multiple entities winning and doing quite well. Like, you have to explain that. You can't, we're past the point of just saying stuff anymore. We're done with that shit, all right?
And I want facts because I have facts.
Right.
I have numbers. I have data.
And hey, if you're a random person listening to this and you want to start, replying to those people, we just gave you facts. Go write down everything we just did right there.
Rich, what general age demographic is allegedly not watching TV anymore?
Oh, the young kids, 18 to 49, okay. 18 to 35, 12 to 18, people, whatever. Right? Yeah.
What age demographic is allegedly cutting all their cords?
Yeah, 18 to 34, 18 to 49,
yeah. What age demographic would be, new viewers that you might gain or create in the pro wrestling business? Who should you be going after in terms of chasing new viewers? What age demographic?
Yeah, 18 to 34, right? 18 to 49.
I now present to you AEW Dynamite's growth in the 18 to 34 demographic since January of this year. Are you ready for these numbers, Rich?
I am ready. Go ahead.
Plus 83%
Pretty
in
good.
January.
That's not bad.
Plus 42% in February. Plus 75% in March. And current week to date in April, up 79%. These are the biggest numbers of all, and the ones I've saved for last, because Dynamite is performing best in the youngest adult demo of all, people aged 18 to 34 year over year. Their biggest growth numbers are in the most desirable demographic in terms of creating new viewers and the hardest people to get to sit down in front of a TV. I mean, is that game, set, match or not? What are we doing here? They're not only finding new viewers and creating new viewers, they're doing it with the youngest people. It's not the 60-year-olds who are watching NXT 2.0 who they're converting. It's new, fresh, young, vibrant viewers who allegedly you can't get to turn on a TV. Yet they're watching Dynamite more than they were last year by an 80% clip. And this is the show, Rich, they just can't figure out how to get new viewers.
Can't get new viewers, can't get young viewers, can't grow. It's only us dorks, our basement dwelling wrestling dorks. These 40-year-old fat basement kids, guys that just never leave their house. We're the only ones watching because it serves us. It serves us, the wrestling dork, but it does not serve the greater audience. So
too busy, making sure that the white males who are already watching wrestling are the one. That's it. The old white guys, just serving them with and not reaching that mythical casual viewer. But that article's behind the paywall. It's called the rudely titled "Safety Blanket of the Stupid." If you think the title is rude, wait till you read the article.
The title's nothing.
Listen, I don't care anymore. I've been canceled more than Sabu. I don't care who doesn't like me. I go after everyone. And I just do a takedown of this mythical idea of the casual fan. And I use the same facts that I just used on this show. It's nonsense. We shouldn't have to listen to it anymore. It's not based in any sort of data or reality. And it's time to start pushing back. It's time to start pushing back, and it's not about rooting for one side or the other. It's about just being fair. It's just about being fair. I mean, it's nonsense. And we can't let these people get away with it anymore. And like you said, I don't know if it was my article that spurred it, but yeah, as soon as my article dropped over the next 48 hours, there was a lot of pushback on this casual fan stuff. So maybe more people like me and Rich Craich and other people who do have a whatever level of influence we have need to start pushing back and just speaking the reality of what's going on in pro wrestling. And, pushing back a bit, and it's, and maybe that's what needs to happen. So people start talking about what's really going on as opposed to this utter nonsense. And, I wish people wouldn't give all-time frauds like Eric Bischoff platforms. I wish they wouldn't, but unfortunately there is an audience for that. And as long as there's an audience for it, it's going to, and Eric is very smart. I've never said Eric wasn't smart. Eric knows who his audience is, and he knows who he needs to play up to, and he knows the things he needs to say that's going to keep him relevant in those corners and those circles. And those people don't want to hear positive things about certain pro wrestling companies. They just don't. Or modern wrestling in general in a lot of ways. His Venn diagram is probably almost overlaps with Cornette's. It's the same people. It's just time to push back on this. I mean, the data supports our argument overwhelmingly. Like, it's not even debatable. It's overwhelming data.
It's not like fringe. It's not like 1%, 2%, 3%. What'd you say? 83% was the jump in 18 to 34.
January 2022, they were up 83%. They've been up. They're up about 80% on the year in people 18 to 34. Dynamite total viewership. This is pay Brandon his $5. You could look at the same spreadsheet I'm looking at. Subscribe to the Observer. The numbers are there every week. I'm not a magician. Like, I didn't do the work. I'm just, it's like it's right there. All I do is look at the data and then come on the air and tell people what I'm seeing and what it means. That's all. That's all I do. These other people are frauds. And, it's worse, the ones that don't even bother doing the work and just take these guys at face value. That's a shame. But,
yeah, you get headlines made out of these things. That's, why is AEW not growing? It's like a headline. You're like, what are we talking about? And you click and it's, it's a clip from, some Strictly Business or whatever of Eric Bischoff sitting there and talking. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't have to be a headline either, because that's not true. Like, push back against that. You don't have to repeat the headline just because Eric Bischoff said it or just because Jim Cornette said it. Like,
these, if one of these aggregation sites posts that, get on them. Say, no, that's false. They are growing. Why are you posting this?
Right.
It's not going to stop them.
No,
but
but I said I was very encouraged this week when I saw how many people that I trust and how many people I think are smart wrestling fans and good wrestling fans and not necessarily people that subscribe to us or listen to us or any of that sort of stuff, like people that I just know, like in the grand sphere of things, were pushing back against. Hey, okay, well, let's stop using this casual fan bullshit. Let's just stop. I saw a lot of that this week of, okay, people challenging. Okay, well, hey, you say they're not growing. You say that the casual fan, you say that, or whatever. Like, let's, okay, let's start looking at some data here. It's all there. We have years worth of data now. We have AEW. We have 3 years of AEW now. We have, it's not a year. It's not 6 months. It's not a little bit. We have years of data now in AEW that we can go back and look at. We have years of data with WWE on Fox. We have years of data on Raw, dating back years and years and years. Like, we can do this stuff. It's not that hard. We can look at it analytically and we can study this and come to real conclusions with this stuff. We don't have to just make random guesses or just repeat platitudes. Like, we don't have to do that anymore. There's data backing this stuff. There's stuff that we can look at that tells us one way or another. And again, like I'll be more than happy to say, oh shit, well, okay, if WWE if Fox for the next 6 months turned around and we would be on the show the same way, saying, whoa, what did WWE do? They grew 15% in this and 27% in this. Like, you're just reading numbers. You're just saying, here are the overall numbers. Like, it's not, there's nothing going on. But it's at the end of the day, it's like, all right, well, here's what the facts are, and yet, if you just kind of scroll on these websites or you go to a website or you scroll on Twitter or whatever, you're just inundated with these just complete false, nothing, just garbage, just trash, just nothing based in any amount of reality, just guys talking about stuff and with nothing backing up what they're talking about. And we have to do better. We can do better. We have all the resources to do better in the wrestling business. We have so many resources right now in the wrestling media to do better. And people just choose not to. People just choose to the most basic, clippable headline thing. Boom, there we go. It's just regurgitated over and over and over, 1,000 times over, and here we are. And we're just in this state where we have people questioning every single week, why is AEW not growing when, as you pointed out there, they couldn't possibly be growing anymore. Like, it'd be stupid for them to grow any more than they're already growing. It'd be unrealistic. You would have to wonder what's wrong with the data for them to grow any more than they are. 83% year over year in that 18 to 34. That sounds like a typo. That sounds like it can't be real. But there we go. But yet every week, what are they doing? Why aren't they growing? Why, what's TNT gonna say? What's Warner gonna say? Oh my God, they're gonna
If you want to read the article, it's on all price tiers, by the way, so you can read it for as little as $1.
Yep.
I don't care. Pay the $1, read it, and then immediately unsubscribe. Just read it, okay? Or if you like that, I mean, we've got a ton of other
good
content.
stuff. I was gonna say I would stick with it if I were you, but
I mean, you finished up the Yes Movement audio series.
Which, by the way, speaking of breaking narratives, listen to that show, because I go deep into the story of Daniel Bryan towards WrestleMania 30. I just wrapped that up this week. That is a show all about destroying narratives of what people think that story was and what the whole Miracle on Bourbon Street and the Yes Movement, all about what people say about that, or what WWE will say about that, or what documentaries will say about that, or what video clips will say about that. But I give you the real dirt on what was actually supposed to happen and how Daniel Bryan was not supposed to be anywhere fucking near the title picture at WrestleMania 30. And it took Batista bombing, CM Punk leaving, and then finally just saying, fuck it, who cares? Fine, Daniel Bryan. And it probably took, and I explore that in Chapter 7 too, it probably took the WWE Network launching and them just not giving a shit about pay-per-view buys anymore also to make it happen. So yeah, that is, when we speak about narrative busters and just busting like just the most basic, bottom of the barrel, easy to consume, ideas about wrestling, that show is all about that. It's about, I actually put a clip out, or an entire audio file out that has all 7 chapters. So if you have not listened to all 7 chapters, if you're just jumping in right now, that is an audio file. I think it's just under 6 hours or just over 6 hours with every single chapter, all 7 chapters of the Yes Movement, back to back to back. So if you want to sit down and say, all right, let me hear the real story of how Daniel Bryan got to WrestleMania 30 and won the championship, that is there for you right there.
You've got the 6-hour mega cut if they want to do it all in one shot, and then you have the 7 individual chapters as well. You also wrote a piece about Kushida exiting the company, which we'll get to in a bit, but you wrote a piece about WWE's history with male Japanese wrestlers, which was very in-depth, showing how they just cannot handle, even in some cases being gifted stars, and the horrible history of WWE and how they've handled Japanese wrestlers. Somewhat related to that, we had a news update regarding Kushida's exit from the company with tons of exclusive notes straight from the New Japan locker room. Why Kushida left, what his next move is probably going to be, pitches that he made to the New Japan bookers already, and also some names of some other New Japan wrestlers that WWE attempted to poach. The process of there's just so much in there. So there's a news update regarding that behind the paywall. My article, which I noted, which is actually available as a special. You can read that on any of the 3 price tiers. $10 though gets you everything, including all of the written content. But if you want to just drop in and read that piece that I've been talking about, which is a total takedown of this nonsense casual fan argument, which is just total bullshit, you can read that for $1. And then Thursday TV reviews drop today. There's just so much behind the paywall. So check it out and pick a price tier that works for you as we work in a plug here for the paywall. But, when you look at this data, I mean, Rich, we come on here pretty often and say that AEW should follow the WWE playbook in terms of making business-to-business guaranteed money deals. I mean, WWE has just, there's a reason they've had their two most successful financial years in their history the last 2 years. And it's those business-to-business guaranteed money deals that they've cut with Fox, NBC, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We've come on this show and we've said that numerous times.
Oh,
correct?
Yeah, that'd be the easiest thing to do, to cut that check and get that. Great.
Yeah, and that's what AEW is attempting to do with, this is why they tape 1,000 matches for Dark. This is why they've acquired the ROH tape library. They want to get to X amount of hours and get that same bag. They want to keep growing, which they are growing on television, and get a new television contract. And we've said many times they should emulate WWE's path in terms of business-to-business deals. I am now convinced, when you look at the data, that contrary to popular belief, I think WWE should be looking at AEW and Tony Khan's booking and follow that path in terms of trying to attempt to gain new viewers. It's very obvious to me that one show is doing a tremendous job gaining new viewers in the desired demographics especially, and the other promotion shows are doing a terrible job at gaining new viewers. In fact, they're losing viewers year over year each month and losing them in the desired demographics at a higher rate than they're losing them in the older demographics. It's funny because the narratives that are out there are completely opposite.
Right.
They're completely opposite of what the reality is. I mean, they should be copying what Dynamite's doing. What Dynamite has proven is if you serve wrestling fans, fuck this fabricated, imaginary idea, this idea of the casual fan. If you just serve wrestling fans, they will find you. They'll find you. It may not happen overnight.
Yeah, it appears, Joe, and this is a bold take by me, that it appears casual wrestling fans like wrestling when it's good. Is that and
wild?
Now stick with me here. Not if they used to be wrestling fans, or they once were wrestling fans, or they have friends that are wrestling fans, or whatever you want to call it. They've seen wrestling before, but they don't watch all that. When it's good and people talk about it and it's exciting, they start watching again. It's very weird. Whereas I thought that if you just put Bad Bunny on, they would just magically, by osmosis, start watching your wrestling show. But apparently that's not the case, is what you're telling me.
It's not what the data says, Rich. You got to tell good stories. We hear that one a lot, too. Well, which show is growing?
Who's telling the good stories then, I guess?
The one that tells the good stories. I mean, that's right. You do have to tell good stories.
Right.
But where they're wrong is that one show does tell good stories.
Yeah,
and
the other one has purple lights. The other one has a lot of purple lights, though, so they definitely win in that. So if the casual fans like purple lights, they will certainly be gravitating towards World Wrestling Entertainment's offerings. So anyway, there you go. So that's
a segment on the Super Show. Huh?
Yeah, there you go. I mean, there's nothing to talk about with the Super Show, but it was about time we had a good old segment like that. It's been quite a while since we touched on AEW business comparatively to WWE or whatever. But before we get into our next topic here, we're going to stick with New Japan. We do want to tell you that this episode of the Flagship podcast is sponsored by our friends at HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That is why they are America's #1 meal kit. You get farm-fresh seasonal produce and easy-to-make recipes delivered right to your door every single week. Ingredients travel from the farm to your doorstep in under a week, so they always arrive fresh, and all without a trip to the grocery store or your farmer's market. And it's all about convenience with HelloFresh. Not only do the ingredients come pre-portioned, so you're not overbuying or wasting food, but it's easier than ever to get filling meals on the table in a snap with options like family-friendly or quick and easy recipes. You can choose from over 50 different weekly options and skip weeks when you need to, change your delivery date, or update your preferences, all in the very easy-to-use HelloFresh app. So I've been using it a little bit. I've been dabbling in the HelloFresh. I will say one of the things that I do like about HelloFresh more so than other meal deliveries that we have talked about on the show is that I am full after I have a HelloFresh meal. I wasn't always full after the other meal delivery services. Very often we would finish the meal, the nurse and I, and we'd look up at each other and go, oh, God damn it, we're still very hungry, aren't we? Yes. And then we'd have to go out and we'd eat some horrendous food. We'd eat some shitty pizza, or we get a slice, you get a hot dog or a slice of pizza. Whatever. That never happens with HelloFresh anymore. When HelloFresh is done, we are done, and the rest of our night can carry on. So that is very, very nice. The meals are very easy, very quick, pre-portioned. I'm not overbuying. I'm not throwing away a bunch of stuff anymore, which is really, really good. You go to the grocery store, you want to buy a couple things, you end up having to buy 15 of these vegetables, and it's annoying. And this is nice. Everything's pre-portioned. I'm not wasting anything anymore. But you can now jump into HelloFresh as well. If you go to HelloFresh.com/VOW16 and use our promo code VOW16 to get to up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's HelloFresh.com/VOW16. You are going to get 16 free meals and 3 free gifts if you use that promo code VOW16. Again, HelloFresh.com/VOW16. Use that promo code VOW16. Get 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. And that is HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. We thank them so much for sponsoring us. What's going on, guys? This is Rich from the Flagship Podcast letting you know about our friends at Drizzly. And if you look for it, every day has a cause for celebration. You can celebrate a friend for their promotion, baby, wedding, life, whatever thing. Celebrate yourself for keeping the couch warm. And look, that's no easy task, especially if it's a big couch. Or maybe you just want to celebrate living in the year 2022, where you can get beer, wine, and spirits delivered from Drizzly in under 60 minutes without leaving that couch. Right now, Drizzly is giving all new customers $5 off their first order with code FAST5. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com, that's DRIZLY.com, and use the promo code FAST5 for $5 off your first order. So as I mentioned, Drizzly is the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits with delivery to your doorstep in under 60 minutes. You get it when you need it. Conveniently as well, you can shop across multiple stores and choose from a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. So you get exactly what you want. And best of all, you can shop across multiple stores and compare prices to find the best deals on what you're looking for. And Drizzly, the most common use for Drizzly is a casual night at home. It's the weather sucks. You got a couple buddies over. You're in the middle of cooking. You're in the middle of a Netflix binge. You're watching a wrestling show, whatever it may be, whatever you have going on that you don't want to leave the house. That is where Drizzly comes in with convenient home delivery in under 60 minutes. So again, you're going to want to go to download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Again, DRIZLY.com, drizzly.com. And use that promo code FAST5 for $5 off your first order. Drizzly is the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits with delivery to your doorstep in under 60 minutes. The #1 app for alcohol delivery. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com, DRIZLY.com, and use that promo code FAST5.
Underdog Fantasy is the fastest growing fantasy app and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Just jump on UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app. Draft your team, and that's it. And if drafts aren't your thing, they also have a pick'em game where you can win 20 times your money in a single night. Use promo code RADIO, and Underdog will double your first deposit when you sign up with up to $100 in bonus cash. Deposit $100, get $100 free. That's promo code RADIO. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. Let's talk about Windy City Riots. Looks like New Japan had a show in Chicago, Joe, this last week. That's good.
Full house, right?
Full. Oh, yeah. To the brim. Yeah, and this is the final show in the lovely, world-famous Odeum in Villa Park, Illinois. It is becoming a trucking depot or something afterwards, and that's
is I will tell you. House, would you say, or
what was that?
Four-figure house?
Oh, yeah. I would say, I forget what, I have to see what those set up for Global Wars 2017 was, because I would say it was right around the same thing that Global Wars was all those years ago. Let me see if they actually announced a attendance.
You were at both shows.
I was at both, and yeah, it felt to me like it was almost exactly the same. But let me see if I can get the number of that. But yeah, completely full house. Very, very good house. I would say, yeah, you'd have to be very, very impressed if you were. So I'm not able to find attendance on Global Wars, but it was good. I would say 4 figures for sure. Maybe high end 3 figures, but I think I'm pretty comfortable saying 4 figures, mostly because it took about I don't know, an hour and a half to get into the actual building. So I missed some of the show. Some of the early parts of the show were tough to get into because they were not ready for the amount of people that were coming in there. Very ill prepared, the Odeum. Very ill prepared for people to come in to actually watch shows there, and in the numbers and the seating arrangements were all screwed up. A lot of things were fucked up. I will not be crying any tears about the end of the Odeum, even though it is close to my house, so that does suck that a venue that hosts wrestling that's like 15 minutes from my house is not going to be around anymore. But yeah, given the setup and the aesthetics and a lot of the other stuff about the Odeum, I will not be crying any tears. But yes, it was impossible to get into that thing. It took about an hour and a half to get this gigantic line in there. They ran out of parking. They were parking people on fields, and most of the audience probably missed. I think almost everybody in the audience seemed to miss the dark match, and definitely a lot of people missed the first actual match on Windy City Riot. I was able to sit down by the second match, and most people by the second match were thankfully in. So they did get people in, but yeah, nobody saw the dark match, I think, and pretty low numbers probably saw the opener. So that kind of sucked with that standpoint. I've heard also on Fights that the stream had a lot of issues. I don't know, were you watching live or did you watch on demand for Windy City Riot?
I watched on demand, but that's a joke. I mean, AEW has come in, and we know that they've taken a giant chunk out of New Japan's market share over the last 3 years, because New Japan used to be the alternative to WWE if you were a disenfranchised WWE fan. And that's why they were setting all-time gate records in the Cow Palace and selling out Madison Square Garden and drawing all these big numbers in the United States, which they are not in a position to do now. I mean, they could put 1,500 people in a building for what was the name of that the Battle in the Valley show in November. They can fill up that new LA Coliseum deal for whatever that show was called, which was what the hell was the name of that show?
I think yeah.
No, that was a sellout, like 1,200 people or something, and they could put 1,000 people in this Odeon for the Chicago show. So there's still a fan base there.
Resurgence was the torch.
Resurgence was that's right. And they could put close to 1,000, when they go to the ECW arena and some of these other stops with the New Japan strong shows. But gone are the days where they can draw 6,600 people or fill up MSG. And, because, for many reasons, I mean, the pandemic has a lot to do with it, and popularity of New Japan dropping because of that, because the Japanese product hasn't been as good. But the primary reason is AEW came in and took over that role as the alternative. And of course they plucked the elite. Of course, that has a lot to do with it as well. Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks were all draws for them and those sorts of things. So when you're struggling for market share, you can't run these Mickey Mouse operations with your pay-per-views. You can't have these technical issues. You can't have the commentators going in and out. You can't have the audio feed not matching the video feed. It's a joke. You've got to, if you want, you got to be major league. Okay. You're not Game Changer Wrestling. You're not, some indie streaming on IWTV. I mean, no disrespect.
Yeah. And a lot of those, I would say a lot of those, technically we have entered into and I was thinking about this the other day. And I was actually having a conversation with some people at Fight or whatever, or, over, some different things or whatever, and mostly talking to them. They had some questions about, hey, you use the service. What are your thoughts? And yada, yada, yada. It was kind of an informal survey. And I was going to say, look, I grew up in an era, or came up in this era where Go Fight Live and all. I mean, there was goddamn, streaming was just the fucking worst for years. It came to the point where people just stopped buying. I mean, how many times did Gabe have to do make goods on WWE Live and email everybody? Okay, you'll get the show and the replays, and we'll give you tomorrow's show for free because this show sucked. Like, we went through years of this stuff. It felt like seemingly like 5 years of this, and then finally, companies like Fight came in. Companies like New Japan Proper, New Japan World came in and changed the game. Dragon Gate Live. And like now we are at a point, IWTV, I will say, we are at a point where even the most basic like random show run on IWTV is mostly fine. Like, yeah, maybe production aside, like they don't have the lights as good, or maybe the commentators don't sound that good, but it works. You know that when you go to IWTV and try to watch X show that you're going to be able to watch it. You know that when you go to Fight on a certain time, you're usually going to be able to watch it. When you go to this, but whatever, like we've entered that point with wrestling streaming, which is great. Then to hear that like on Saturday, like people just straight up couldn't watch the show, the feed would go down, the commentators you couldn't hear, there was buzzing, the camera, I mean, it's just like, what? No, you can't do this anymore. In 2022, we're past that point, man. I mean, you can watch perfectly good live streams from fucking Alaska. Wrestle Pro Alaska was on Fight and was fine and streaming perfectly. You can't have that and then also now have New Japan Pro Wrestling on Fight TV and you can't fucking watch the show or listen to it. I mean, that's just, it's embarrassing. You can't do
Especially the position they're in. I mean, any rub that they get, like, obviously they're in business with AEW now because they're trying to, reinvigorate their American business and get back into the scene. And it's like, you can't have people be introduced to New Japan Pro Wrestling through AEW and then order these shows and get this Mickey Mouse bullshit. You can't. They got to fix it. I don't care what you got to do. You got to fix it.
2277 the attendance from Chris Samsa, so that's wow, they blew out way more than I thought. That's awesome.
You're a bad estimator.
I am not a very good estimator. I used to be good, but I used to be good when I go to indie shows and have to count 200 people. That was easy. Yeah, I was very, very off. 2277 for Windy City Riot.
So like I said, you could see that there's still a fan base there. Okay. But the difference between doing 1,500 fans or 2,000 fans or whatever at a New Japan show and doing 7,000 fans and being able to run Madison Square Garden is the chunk that has been taken away market share wise by AEW. So, and things like this, you can't have this. You have to have if people are going to try it, who are hearing what's all that, and then they get this kind of stream. I mean, that's a joke. It just cannot happen. You can't allow it to happen. And I don't think enough was made of it, honestly. I mean, they should be buried for it. They absolutely, they came back to Access TV, Rich, and they're airing after Impact. And the first episode did 100,000 viewers. Okay. Right. Kind of in line with what we thought they were doing in the previous era, before Nielsen was tracking Access TV numbers. Okay. They were, Meltzer was claiming they were doing between 100 and 200,000 viewers for the New Japan show. And eventually it caught up timeline-wise as well. Well, they came back to Axis, airing after Impact with 100,000 viewers, a very strong number, but with old matches. Again, these are own goals. These are self-inflicted mistakes. These are double faults, to use a tennis analogy. Okay? And now, couple months on, they're barely hitting 50,000 viewers for that show. 100,000 people showed up for the first one. They were hungry for it. They were ready for New Japan back on TV. And you gave them matches that were ancient. You can't get away with that anymore. Okay? You can't give people old matches on TV when they have all of these other options to watch wrestling. You can't give them streams that don't work. What are we doing here? Okay? It's an uphill battle to begin with because AEW came in and wiped you off the face of the earth. I know the pandemic had something to do with it, but it would have happened anyway. Your goal now should be the solid number 3 because you're not getting the number 2. You lost that, and it ain't coming back. But now you're fighting tooth and nail to be number 3 because you can't get a stream straight. And you're airing matches that are 6 months old on TV. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Get the damn tape from whatever aired in Japan last week and get it on Axis. This can't be that difficult. Not if you're serious about it. I don't want to hear any excuses. If you're serious about it, you will have up-to-date matches on TV and a stream that works.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rich, that's
no,
what
and I think you're absolutely right, because I think the frustrating part about it is that New Japan they're there. I mean, the product is there again. The product is good. Like this Windy City Riot show, I thought was tremendous. I thought from beginning to end, really, really great stuff. High level stuff, like you mentioned on your WrestleMania weekend reviews. The difference between New Japan and all these other quote unquote indies running on WrestleMania weekend was fucking night and day. It was unbelievable the leap in just the look and the feel of the work being done. And I think New Japan is doing great jobs in terms of that, both domestically and in Japan, that they've now turned, I mean, whatever down, I was very down on them during the pandemic. I was very down on them in 2020 and 2021, but like, I can very, with complete confidence tell you that like I am really enjoying what they've been doing so far over the last couple months. It feels like a hot product again. It feels like they're kind of firing on all cylinders again. You have this AEW announcement. I think their growth in America has been pretty fun to watch. Like they're all there. The product is there, but now it's about the delivery. Now it's about making sure, are you ready to play big boy ball again? Are you ready to kind of step up and you're absolutely right. Yes, leaving that show and getting on my phone and thinking, oh man, I can't wait to see what people are saying about this, and everybody's saying, I couldn't watch it, the stream fucking sucked, or I couldn't see it, was like, man, like what, this should have been a huge buzzworthy show, and it just did not. The buzz coming out of it was, this stream sucks, I can't watch it, I couldn't see it, like that and that stinks, because like in the building, everybody was clearly all in on like whatever the hell New Japan is doing these days. So it's easy wins that they can win. They can do this. They have the product to do it. But yeah, they're going to have to really just decide that they want to step it up over the next year and do it. So I'm with you.
Yeah, so disappointed from that aspect. A lot of missteps here as the world starts to open back up. And okay, so we're told that this week's New Japan on Access is the New Japan Cup semifinals. So we're getting closer. Okay, the problem here is we've run everybody off. We ran everybody off. So by the time you catch up, you've lost half your audience. I don't know how they came out of the gate with old-ass matches. I mean, you can't get away with that anymore. And now, the 50,000 people that don't watch anymore and through their hands, they might not even know that it's still not caught up.
That they've almost caught up, yeah.
I mean, the semifinals of the New Japan Cup, when was that? That had to be at least a month ago.
Oh, God, New Japan Cup wrapped up. Yeah, when did the New Japan Cup? Yeah, semifinals, man. That would have been, late March, I think.
New Japan Cup.
26, March 26th, so almost a full month.
Still a month behind.
Yeah.
Still a month behind. They may not be able to catch up any closer than that, but why not? It's fucking 2022. Why can't you run the same tape people in Japan are getting? Maybe a week behind. You got to do commentary or something. I get it.
Well, I mean, they were doing, especially the New Japan Cup. I mean, they were all doing live commentary, right?
That's true. Yeah, you should have commentary anyway. That's a good point. But I mean, geez, to come out of the gate with those old matches, I knew that was going to be a disaster. It's a shame. And they started off with 100,000 people watching that show at 10 o'clock at night. At 10 o'clock at night, they had 100,000 people watching that show after Impact. So, they're making some mistakes here, but look, they're going to have this super show that's going to help tremendously. I'm curious to see what the New Japan exposure on Dynamite as we get closer to the Forbidden Door show does for the Access show.
Yeah, this would be a good week. Yeah, this would be a really good week to maybe track, okay, what did Access do this week? And then now, look at moving forward, if the people do start checking that show out on Access, if AEW makes a note to say, hey, you can watch New Japan on Access or whatever, because it'd be smart for them to do that. Like, yes, it's another network or whatever, but they'd be smart to say, hey, you can check out all these guys on Access TV or whatever, because like that will only increase the awareness of who all these people are and whatnot. So I think, yeah, it'd be interesting to track that over the next couple weeks to see if the Access TV number does kind of have a little bit of a peak. But let's get to this Windy City Riot show here, because we have a few other things we need to touch on before we depart. But I thought overall a really, really good show. The live bump probably helped it a little bit, but I thought from top to bottom, a lot of really good stuff. Bookended by two great matches. Tomohiro Ishii and versus Minoru Suzuki. Then the main event of Moxley versus Will Ospreay. So we'll start there. We'll start with Moxley and Ospreay, which I thought was tremendous. That was one of the best live matches I've been to in quite a while. I mean, I'm a little spoiled here in Chicago. I get to see a lot of great matches because a lot of great matches seem to happen in Chicago because AEW and New Japan run here a lot. But that was real. I mean, that was high level, great stuff. Yet another feather in the cap of Will Ospreay, who I think is just lapping the field in Wrestler of the Year at this point. I just can't even imagine who else you would even have as your Wrestler of the Year. To me, if you're watching all these companies and you're watching wrestling, I just don't understand how you can't have Will Ospreay as your Wrestler of the Year, given what his output's been and where his output's been in various companies or whatever. But I thought Moxley and Ospreay was great stuff. I saw a lot of people very confused about the finish, so let's talk about that, Joe, before we kind of move on to other matches. First off, what do you think of the match? And then let's talk about the finish, though, because I think that's the most important part. That you and I we haven't talked about this before, but I've seen what you've talked with other people about, either on our Discord or whatever. You get it. You understand it. I got it. I understood it. People that have watched the New Japan Cup, we get it. We understand it. But there are a lot of people that don't understand what happened at the end. So first off, what do you think of the match? And then we'll dig into the finish a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I mean, it exposed that a lot of that crowd hasn't been watching their New Japan World. That's number one. The match was great. Low-level match of the year contender. So at least 4.5, somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's right. I went 4.5 right on the dot.
The work was fantastic. It was intense. It was bloody. It was everything you would want. My one takeaway with the work, and I'll get to the finish, was I know we don't have a ton of time. I'm not going to go over spots and everything, but these two guys worked so hard. I don't know the last time I saw a match where the two participants both worked as hard as these two guys worked. I hate to use cliches, but they left their bodies out there. I mean, you want to see two people try as hard as they can to have a great pro wrestling match and make the other guy look good. I mean, this was it. They killed themselves. It was intense, perfectly paced. Their bodies went through hell. And these are two psychopaths who will put their bodies through hell. Neither one of these guys give a shit. They have no regard. And from that perspective, this was a perfect storm. And it really made me want to see these guys have a series of matches. That's why I brought it up earlier. I really hope this is a match at the Forbidden Door show. And then, maybe you could have Will Ospreay get a win back. And, with Moxley not holding a title right now, and that could be one of the political concessions that Khan makes. That's a good guy to beat, right? Like Moxley right now.
Oh, yeah. And I don't think he would care about it. I don't think they should care about it. Like, I think he's pretty Teflon at this point. So, yeah, I agree. That's if you're because they're going to get to that table and there's going to be a lot of like, I don't know about that guy losing to this guy or whatever. Like you can do two things. You can either just be complete cowards and just all have these six mans and clearly make it obvious who's going to take the loss or whatever. Or you can get to that table and say, all right, like, who are you willing to have lose? And that's I think where a new relationship like this, I think, and wrestling the way it is in 2022, I think that they are probably smart enough to get to the table and say, hey, let's make the best matches possible, but let's make some concessions here. Okay, are you okay with this guy losing? Are you okay with that guy losing? And you're absolutely right. When you get to that table and you're coming up with the matches, Jon Moxley's a perfect guy to say, hey, look, you know what? We're not saying that Okada has to lose. Tanahashi can win. We'll have Moxley lose. How about that? Is that okay? Let's do that, and then maybe you can give us something.
He feels like a good bargaining chip.
Right. Like, I wouldn't
based
want
on his level of push right now and all that.
Right. Like, I don't want Hangman. Like, if Hangman's still the champion going in, I'm like, no, he's a no. We're not losing. Hangman's not losing. Will's not losing. Like, there's certain guys that are no's, but Moxley seems like a one that, yeah, you know what, we can sell that for sure. Moxley, yeah, that's not a problem. We can do that. So I'm with you. I think that'd be a smart one.
Yeah, especially since. Now he's kind of works for both companies because it's the other thing, but he won the first match too. So it's like, but I talked about this behind the paywall. You also have to remember AEW has the high ground here. I mean, if New Japan would have done business with them 3 years ago when Chris Harrington went over to Japan, when New Japan told them to kick rocks for a variety of reasons, right? They weren't established yet. There were still fresh wounds from the Elite jumping and leaving the company and going to AEW. And it didn't happen then. Harold May was a barrier. New Japan would have had the high ground in these sorts of things. That's not the case 3 years later. AEW clearly has the high ground. And I do think they have the upper hand in these sorts of political scenarios. But it would be wise of Tony Khan to do the give and take. But I do think in the biggest matches and the most important scenarios, because AEW has the high ground, New Japan can't really bully Tony Khan. Tony Khan can bully New Japan.
Yeah.
But with that said, I do think with the way Moxley is slotted right now and booked, he's a great bargaining chip as someone you can beat.
Right, especially if it's like to Will Ospreay. I mean, Moxley will he's a worker and he's a pro wrestler, but I think he understands, you know, what Ospreay represents to the wrestling world, and what Ospreay represents to New Japan in particular, and we'd be fine losing to a guy like him. He's going to want to go, you know, 25 minutes with the guy and have a few, you know, nice hope spots and definitely get his shit in. But like, I think at the end of the day, he's probably fine taking a 1, 2, 3.
I don't think he's the kind of guy who gives a shit.
No, I don't think he cares that much.
Get in there and wrestle and have a good match. But anyway, this is a great match, and I hope it's – look, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We have no idea if they're doing that match. I hope they do. I hope, because these guys ended up having incredible chemistry. It's getting to the point where Will Ospreay could have a great match with anyone. And the finish, I mean, look, if you were paying attention to New Japan Cup and paying attention to New Japan storylines, the finish made a ton of sense. Did Will Ospreay kick out before the 3 count? Yeah, it looked like he did. Right?
They've shared he's shared a slow motion video on Twitter that he has indeed kicked out before 3. You see him visibly kick out.
Yep. But then, Rich, what happens immediately after the kick out?
Then he taps out.
Moxley puts him in the choke and he taps out. So what you do here is advance his storyline of where he believes, as a delusional heel, that the company is against him and the referees are against him, because this is the story that they've established in New Japan Cup on that tour. And he has a legitimate gripe, right? The ref did fuck up and screw him. But he then taps out. You get the visual tap out anyway, right? So it's a great finish, because this shitbag heel, even though we all saw him tap out, he still has a legitimate gripe to whine about.
Right.
This is classic pro wrestling.
right. Like, he's saying he hasn't referred to once the tap out.
No.
And the video that he tweets still has the tap out in there in slow-mo. And there's people that are like, oh, you tapped out, though. And he's like, yeah, look, my shoulder was up. And it's just like classic shitbag heel stuff where he's not addressing that he easily, regardless of if he kicked out, like Moxley, and it says Moxley, too. This is, oh, my God, pro wrestling is great. It's so great, and people are so dumb about it. Moxley, he knows that he kicked out. You know what I mean? Moxley doesn't wait for the bell. Moxley goes, no, this fucker kicked out, so I'm going to put him in my move. And Will Ospreay tapped out.
In kayfabe, you mean? Like the Moxley character.
Yes. John Moxley, the wrestler, knows, okay, he kicked out, I'm good, I'll put him in the chokehold.
I better choke him.
Yeah. Right. It's like the classic...
Because it all happens so fast.
Right. It's like one of my favorite tropes in wrestling. People don't do it anymore. They used to do it in Japan all the time, where like the 1, 2, 3 would happen, and Noki was classic about doing this too. The 1, 2, 3 would happen, and then he'd get up and start like keep attacking the guy. And they're like, no, Noki, it's over.
Yeah.
Like the 1, 2, 3, and he's still fighting. No, I still got it. I got it. It's like no, it's over, buddy. It's over. But like, it's a fight.
Like
you know what I mean?
You know, like a modern MMA guy who gets knocked out briefly and loses, and then wakes up and thinks the fight is still happening.
Yeah, right.
And the ref has to attack. Yeah,
because you're in a fight. Like you can't just let that go all of a sudden. You don't hear 1, 2, 3 and go, okay, well, I'm out of a fight now. I'm good. Like to Moxley, hey, this guy kicked out. Cool. I'll put him in my lock and I got it. And yeah, Will has the legit gripe that he kicked out, but then he also has the shitbag heel part where, yeah, but you fucking tapped out 2 seconds later. So like, it doesn't really matter that you kicked out, but that doesn't matter.
But this continues that story.
Right, exactly.
Where he could be a whiny fucking shitbag, crybaby. But, and it should anger you in kayfabe that like he has a legitimate gripe. That, oh, fuck, he did kick it. This guy's right. But we all saw him get choked out. So it was a brilliant finish. I mean, it's fantastic, especially if there were politics involved. And Tony Khan said, none of my guys are losing because, Rich, by the way, AEW went undefeated on this show.
They did do pretty well. Yeah, they clean up a lot lately on these joint shows. So.
Because they have the high ground. It's like, listen, why should he allow any of his wrestlers to lose on indie shows? That's why they win all their indie matches. And on a show like this, they threw their weight around. And AEW wrestlers went undefeated on a New Japan show, which is why I'm saying, when the Forbidden Door show happens, I'm not so sure if you're getting, say, 6 matches that are interpromotional that you're going to get 3 and 3. I don't know how Tony Khan's mood is going to be when he sits down at that table. He's got the high ground. If he wants to bully them and say, no, I'm winning 4 matches and the main event, what can New Japan do? What can they say? They don't have the high ground here. They would have had it in 2019. They would have had Tony by the balls. But he's doing them a favor now. They're the ones losing market share in America. He don't have to do this with them. What does AEW gain out of it? More fan service. More making fans happy. More podcasts like this throwing roses at them for putting together this amazing joint show. And that's the stuff I believe that has helped them build their company. That's what Tony's getting out of it. And New Japan is so far behind now that he doesn't consider him a threat. It's why he let Kenny Omega go to Impact for 6 months. Who cares? They're not catching us. So that's the same idea here. So, AEW going 4-0 on this show, people should keep that in the back of their minds when Forbidden Door rolls around. I'm not saying they're going to clean sweep them, okay? But New Japan really doesn't have any power here. They're lucky to be there, in all honesty. So that's what was interesting about some of these finishes. But yeah, great match, brilliant finish. And I would love to see these guys wrestle again. And oh, by the way, Rich, 20 minutes. We didn't go 40 minutes.
Yeah, nice and tidy 40 minutes or 20 minutes. I loved it. Yeah.
And did you feel cheated at all?
No, hell no. God. You always say that. And it's like, no, you've never been to a wrestling show. Like, nobody wants. There are certain times when 40 minutes works, but yeah, not this time.
So I had terrible streaming experience, obviously. How was this match? Was this match over in the building?
Oh, yeah. Crazy over. Crazy over. I think Will was very over in that crowd, and Moxley's an absolute god in this building. So
Moxley's over everywhere.
Yeah, Moxley's just. I would say that I think Ishii and Suzuki probably got a little higher than Moxley and Ospreay did, but towards the finish of Moxley Ospreay, like some of the control periods of Moxley Ospreay, people were into it. They were into the high spots, but then by the last 5 minutes or whatever, this was molten hot for Moxley and Ospreay. Yeah. So and deservedly so. Like, it was a molten hot match, and it built perfectly like that as well. So yeah, I thought it was in the building, people way over it, as it went on, and then the finish kind of deflated a lot of people. Unfortunately, as we pointed out there, people that clearly show that they have not been watching the New Japan Cup, and I can't totally blame them. But
no, I can't kill people if they haven't been keeping up. But that's why the finish came off flat.
Right. Like, I was oh yeah, it makes all the sense. And I had people being like, what was that all? Like, the guys next to me were like, what happened? And I had to explain to like 4 or 5 people what had exactly happened or whatever. And then saw on Twitter a bunch of people saying, oh, what a flat finish. Oh, well, it looked like shit. It's like, no, it was exactly what finish they wanted. Exactly the correct finish. But
let me tell you something. If this were 3 years ago, that finish would have got over because people would have been watching.
Exactly.
And that tells you kind of, due to the pandemic, largely, listen, you can't deny the pandemic had a factor in that. It's not just the mere existence of AEW. Do I think there's people who used to be diehard, watch every show, New Japan fans, who don't anymore because AEW has taken that time? And yeah, of course there is. Yeah, I mean, but there's also the pandemic really, like, for someone like you stopped watching New Japan shows during the pandemic, except the big ones that you had to watch for this show, which you would have blown off if you weren't doing this show.
Right. But yeah, I used to be every single week, multiple times a week, every single show that made tape I was watching. Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, as proof by this crowd, that weren't. So I guess we should go through the rest of this, though. We're running short on time.
Yeah, so Ishii and Suzuki, just fucking tremendous. Like, they played the hits. It was exactly what you thought Ishii and Suzuki was going to be, but this audience and myself and everybody just ate it up. Because I think this was, it was the hits, but it was also, like, I thought it was really good. It was the best of these two guys. Like, really, Suzuki, he's kind of become sort of a meme in a lot of ways, especially a lot of his American matches are just kind of the same thing. Makes funny faces, does all the things. But I think this one, they built this one too, and they did a great job of building this through other, New Japan Cup, and building this through the New Japan and USA shows, building it up through the WrestleMania weekend show or whatever. So this had some actual stakes to it, and these guys wrestled like this was a grudge match, or that this match had some additional stakes to it. So I was very impressed. This way over delivered what I thought it was going to be, and it probably shouldn't have. It's Ishii and Suzuki. I probably should have expected it to be great, but I think it was even better than I thought. I was 4.25, really close to going 4.5 with it. I liked it just a little bit less than Moxley and Ospreay, but not very far off.
I went 4.25. I thought it was great. I thought Ishii in particular, his selling was phenomenal. It always is, but he was really great here. And I'm kind of over Minoru Suzuki doing chop battles with everybody on the indies, on every indie show. Like, I'm tired of the Suzuki indie match. So I really wasn't looking forward to this. And it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. He's really great.
Yeah. Yeah. When he needs to, when he knows that it's a big moment, he knows that it's an important moment. Yeah. He can be fucking tremendous.
Yeah. He does all these indies and gets paid an exorbitant amount of money, and I don't blame him at all. And he gets in there with people who are just in awe of him, and they want to have the Suzuki chop battle, and they want to eat the gotch, and every match is the same. Right. And I'm really tired of them. I don't even seek them out anymore. Like, I don't even go out of my way to watch the Ishii indie, the Suzuki, not Ishii, the Suzuki indie matches. And then this, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. This is right. Of course. This is fucking phenomenal. And Ishii was great. So, yeah. Look, this was a really good show. As far as a wrestling show goes, I mean, this was, every bit as good as a lot of the shows happening in Japan right now because the top two were so good and the rest of the stuff was strong.
So quickly, I'll go over the rest of it just so we can get onto some of our other topics. So, like I said, I did not see the dark match. That was Rocky Romero and Wheeler Yuta defeating Kevin Knight and DKC. So, okay, so that one appeared on the stream. You were able to see that?
Kevin Knight. Wait, did I see that?
So I thought it was dark, but I don't know if they may have aired it. I have no clue. Like, again, I didn't get there in time to see that. So
I'm trying to think. Maybe I didn't see that. I don't know. Who cares? Let's talk about the rest of the show.
So the first match, and this one I missed, I saw maybe 1 second of, even though it went 11 minutes and 56 seconds. I saw 1 second of that, so 11 minutes and 55 seconds I did not see. But it was Aaron Solo, Nick Hamamoto, and QT Marshall defeating Clark Connors, Carl Fredericks, and Yuya Uemura. So I can't say because, again, I saw 1 second, but I don't know. Was it good?
Yeah, and this was the first match where the AEW side won.
I heard Marshall was like stalling for as much time as humanly possible at the beginning of this. So
this had no commentary. This match had no commentary.
Interesting. Okay.
If you watched live, it had no commentary. And then when I watched later, it had like really spotty commentary that didn't match up with the video. So, they got it in on the replay, but it was still a mess. The match itself was, it was exactly what it looks like on paper. It was, everybody worked hard. I was surprised by the finish, but the feud is continuing. The Carl Fredericks QT Marshall feud is going to continue on some of these American shows. So,
all right. And then I saw everything after this. So the first match I was in the building for, Alex Coughlin, Chris Dickinson, Fred Rosser, Josh Alexander, and Ren Narita defeating Team Filthy, Black Tiger, Danny Limelight, Jarrell Nelson, JR Kratos, and Royce Isaacs. So I think Team Filthy is awesome. They're just great shitbag heels. Everybody plays their role perfectly, except Black Tiger. Black Tiger is awful. What are we doing with this Black Tiger thing?
Black Tiger, if I were Ricky Reyes and I was given an opportunity to take the Black Tiger gimmick.
Are you ruining Christmas, or is everybody aware of that?
Who cares?
Okay. He's Ricky Reyes, but yes.
I would go to the gym, maybe get in a modicum of shape.
Good first step, yeah.
Work harder than I ever have worked in my life. And I would try to get booked in Best of the Super Juniors and reinvigorate my career. He's done the complete
opposite. That's one way. I was going to say that's one way. That's not the way he chose, unfortunately.
I mean, there's other people in this match who would probably love to have that gimmick. Jarrell Nelson, Danny Limelight, Ren Narita would all make fine Black Tigers and would probably relish in the opportunity, let alone a number of other wrestlers they have in their system who, young lions ready for a push. We talked about Kevin Knight, who would probably love to take on this gimmick and go to Japan and work Super Juniors and feud with Tiger Mask. This guy is in awful shape, no effort, barely bumped. It's amazing to me. This is an opportunity that you're getting because your buddy runs the thing, okay? And you don't take advantage of it at all. I mean, I just think it's embarrassing. I mean, I know Rocky Romero's his pal, but if he wasn't, I wouldn't book him anymore. I mean, it's just a total lack of effort and an insulting level of lack of effort. I'm thinking about it. I don't think I saw that opener. I was thinking of, because Rocky Romero worked the opener of the WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, okay. So you're mixing the two up, maybe.
I think so, because I'm looking at that match, and I don't remember seeing the DKC, because Rocky Romero lost to Ren Narita at Lone Star Shootout in the opener. And I know I saw that. I don't think I saw this opener. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Rocky lost to Ren Narita in Dallas, right? I'm not going crazy. Deep in the show here.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Right, yeah. So that's the match I'm thinking of. But anyway, yeah, Ricky Reyes is that is a disgrace.
It's just not, because everybody else is like solid as fuck. I mean,
and working their ass off.
Coughlin is great. Chris Dickinson. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Fred Rosser is just a revelation in New Japan. He's great.
Yeah.
Josh Alexander is one of the best wrestlers in the world, like one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world. And Ren Narita, I mean, he kind of got lost in the shuffle here, and I'm not sure what the long term of Ren Narita is, but he's fine. He's a perfectly solid roster member. Limelight is good. I think Jarrell Nelson is just an awesome shitbag heel. Jarrett Kratos jumps off the screen, and Royce Isaacs is like a perfect replacement level like wrestler. You know what I mean? Just exactly always in the right place. Like just a classic roster guy, like a depth roster guy. And I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in like a demeaning way, but you need guys like Royce Isaacs. And then there's Black Tiger. It's just like, man, everybody else is just fucking great. And it's just, here's Black Tiger. So then we had the a little bit of the Heyman special. Maybe a few of these matches went a little long because we went right into the New Japan Strong Openweight title match. Tom Lawler defeating Yuji Nagata, 13 minutes and 57 seconds. I will admit I was a little disappointed by this match. I thought it was going to be a little bit better, but that's probably on me more so than on these guys. Nagata just, I mean, he's not that anymore. You know what I mean? Nagata's not that dude anymore. A couple years ago, he was still capable of a couple times a year having a great match. I guess it was, why was I expecting Yuji Nagata to turn back time and have this incredible match in like the middle of a random New Japan of America show? That's on me. But I thought it was solid, but not that great.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I guess I liked it more than you did because you seemed pretty down on it. But I don't know necessarily if it was, I mean, your impression was Nagata didn't want to go all out here in this spot. My thing is, I really like Tom Lawler.
I was waiting for the armbar. He didn't even do the armbar.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I think Lawler, who I really like, is still a little spotty. I think he could be a little spotty, but I enjoyed this match. I think Tom Lawler. Let me put it to you this way: if I were New Japan, I would 100% bring Tom Lawler to Japan. Okay, but I think he is ahead on personality and charisma, and a little behind sometimes with the work. He can have great matches. I've seen him have great matches on Strong, but he also has matches where I'm left a little empty. But I did like this one well enough.
Then we had United Empire, Aaron Henare, Great O'Khan, Jeff Cobb, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis, and TJP versus the Bullet Club team of Chris Bay, Doc Ellis, El Phantasmo, Hikuleo, Carl Anderson, and the newest member of the Bullet Club. We were wondering if he was going to be an official member of the Bullet Club, and they made sure to tell you this man is an official member of the Bullet Club now. It is Scott Flash Norton.
I liked seeing Chris Bay. To me, it's like he's a really Bullet Club now, right? Because he worked Bullet Club on a New Japan show.
Yeah.
That it's like, it's not just this weird Impact thing. Like, he's really a Bullet Club guy.
He fits the tone, too. He comes out with a swagger and stuff. It works. Yeah, it definitely
does a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's someone who, they saw someone with some potential and some upside, and they got their claws into him. It's a nice, I'm telling you, they're going to have a loaded roster. I mean, I've talked about it a million times. It's a 12-man tag. You'd like to see some of these United Empire guys kind of do their own thing, but there's limited spots on the show. But it was good to see United Empire all together for maybe the first time.
Yeah, they all came out and you're like, man, what a unit this is. As every really guy is coming out, you're like, whoa, this is an embarrassment of riches. And I will say in the building, I don't know if it came across on the fight stream, but the stars of this match were Fletcher and Davis. There was a lot. It was a classic. Nobody knew who these guys were. Me and 7 other people were aware of who these guys were. But by the end of the show, the end of this match in particular, people were just like, whoa, these guys are fucking tremendous. The people in my row, people I was sitting by, everybody was just like, whoa, who are those guys? How do I watch more? Where are they from? I've never heard of those guys before, but I need to see more from them. And I was like, yeah, these dudes are great. And yeah, they've had just tremendous matches in the past.
Listen,
but yeah,
look, Ospreay's a top guy. He's been a world champion. Okan's push is coming. They put the tag titles on Okan and Cobb. Cobb got the big push in G1, so they've got him in that upper mid-card spot firmly. Okan is there now too, and he's going to get a push beyond that of Cobb next year. Fletcher and Davis are going to come to Japan.
I will say real quick, Okan way over too, because the stuff he does outside of the ring as the match is going on, I mean, this dude just gets it.
I was going to ask you about that because there were cosplayers of Okan.
Yeah, he was super over. He didn't do much in this match. I don't think he took a bump. He's got maybe Togi Makabe.
Hey, learn from Togi.
Absolutely. Hey, pal, you're taking the fall? No. Are you getting the win? No. Don't do shit, man.
Stuck out.
Right.
12 men, blend in.
Right. Yeah. Oh, he did. But yeah, anytime he was outside of the ring, I mean, he was shit talking the crowd. He was hyping other guys up. He's great. I mean, charisma wise, this dude's exploding
Yes.
with it. He's just got confidence and charisma that you can't teach.
This is what people don't get. Like, if you're not into his in-ring, I like his in-ring. He's unique. But that's one thing. This guy has a tangible charisma.
Right. We're going to talk about a guy later that might have better in-ring, but has none of the it factor whatsoever that Okan had.
Yeah. And Okan, it's like he connects with people, you know? And now in Japan, he's bringing that proclamation from the police department
yes.
to the matches.
Yeah, he's the best.
Like, he connects with people. There's a crowd connection there with him. And that's so important. And I do think his unique working style will work to his advantage. We're going to be right about this guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, for sure. No, we're right. We're right now. It's not we're going to be. We are right now.
No,
we're going to be very right in a little bit, for sure.
You don't even see really the detractors anymore, because I think people are like, yeah, you know, he's not my cup of tea, but he's clearly going to be a guy. So yeah, you know, it's and you know, and now TJP with the Francesca Akira over there. Now they even have a junior tag team for the unit as well. So it's now really a complete and full unit. I mean, they've got everything.
And then we had a 6-man tag Chicago Street Fight, which I think just ended a few minutes ago. Finn Juice, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson and Brody King versus TMDK, Jonah, Shane Haste, and Bad Dude Tito. I think this was done well, but god damn, it did not need to go 24 minutes.
This was a rough watch on stream because they're fighting in like corners of the building. Cameramen can't get there.
We couldn't see it either.
I saw
4% of this match because nothing happened in front of me at all.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. It was a rough watch. So I guess you had the same experience.
Yeah, I'm done with plunder too. I'm an anti-plunder guy at this point, so I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think there was a point where I was like, hey, this is a pretty good plunder match. This is kind of good, and then they went like 8 more minutes after that, and I was like, all right, let's go. Let's cut to the chase here. But I don't know if it appeared on the stream, but Juice Robinson very much waving to the crowd, thank you, goodbye, thank you, bowing, you know, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, he definitely playing up that this is it for him. So. Yeah,
he'll be back at some point. Like, I don't mean necessarily to New Japan, but he'll be back somewhere, whether it's New Japan or somewhere else. Finley could hit the bricks too, to be honest. I've had enough of him.
Yeah.
He just overstayed his welcome. You know, if he pops up somewhere else, I'll give him a shot. But I don't know. He don't need to be here anymore.
Then we had the US of J Open Challenge Series with Jay White coming out. He says, okay, who am I going to face? We cut to the back. We see Jon Moxley, and everybody goes, oh, and everybody thinks, you know, and nobody thinks it's Jon Moxley, but I will say, credits to the crowd. They knew it was Shota Umino at this point, as he walks up and goes, shooter, you're up, or whatever.
Yeah.
It was cool as fuck. And then the only problem is the bell has to ring for old Umino, man. I don't know, dude. This guy, whatever bandwagon there was, if there was a bandwagon, I am as far off as I could possibly be off on this guy.
You know, if people thought he was kind of flavorless here and not so great, man, don't watch those Rev Pro matches.
I was gonna say, he's better than he was in Rev Pro. I will tell you that.
And he is getting back into form a bit.
He's in good shape again. Dude just does it. Where's the? Let's go! Come on, man! Like, let's get some juice. Yeah. Let's go! You're the babyface here, man. You're returning. You're debuting. You're doing whatever. Let's go! Let's get a little juice. Let's get a little fire, man. Come on, like
showed a little fire at the end, right before he got hit with the switchblade. But you're right. I mean, look again. I've seen him even worse than this because I watch all the Rev Pro. I'm a Rev Pro pervert, and I watch everything they upload. So I mean, I've seen worse out of him since his return from the pandemic, but he's coming around. But I can't sit here and tell you that this was any kind of dynamic performance that made me think that they got to get this guy on the first flight to Japan to challenge Okada. There's a ways to go with him still. At somewhere along the line, he lost his confidence, and fans sniffed that out immediately. You cannot hide that. You can't hide it.
Joe, there was a point in this match, and I hate to call this guy because this is a very subtle thing, but it's all about confidence. There was a spot that he was doing, and I think he had Jay White in the corner, and he was like punching him, and then he like looked to the crowd, and nobody made any reaction. And he kind of looked up again. And he had this weird reaction, like it was so impossible to describe, and I wish I could find the exact clip and to see if I could find it on Fight. but it was just like a look of like, why aren't you guys cheering? Like, what's going on here? It was like the least amount of confidence you've ever seen in a guy. It wasn't like Shota Umino, the wrestler, you know what I mean? It was like the human being being like, oh man, no one's cheering for me. Like, you know, type of thing. It was a really weird look. I can't describe it, but it's total lack of confidence. It's I know the look. Trust me, as somebody who horribly lacks confidence, I know that look. I've done that look before. Trust me. I'm well aware of what that look is. But it was that look. Like, it was a weird sort of like look towards the crowd in not a wrestler way, but in like in an insecure way. And yeah, it's just compare him to Okan, who owns the fucking room. The second that guy walks in, he owns a room. Even if he's not in the match, even if he's one of 12 dudes, that guy owns a fucking room. Umino was here in a singles match, and like, he didn't look like he cared. The fans didn't care. It's just got a lot of work to go, and I'm a little worried here. We're getting pretty the stuff that the stuff that you can't teach. Like, he doesn't have that yet, and that's I'm really worried about Umino long term. So
yeah.
And then Ishii and Suzuki we talked about, and Moxley and Ospreay we talked about as well. So otherwise, really good show though overall. I enjoyed it, and definitely that show in DC looks like it's going to get real good too. We'll talk about that as we get a little bit closer. But New Japan of America really stepping it up so far this year. So
yeah, the DC show shaping up, and is a good looking show as well. So look, in ring is never going to be the problem. You know, people that bother with New Japan Strong enjoy it. I used to watch it every week. I don't have time anymore, so I catch it every now and then, or when people wreck things. But I guess we could add Kushida to the pile of people who will return to New Japan when they get back on their feet. You want to just do Kushida right now, and
yeah, let's do that. So yeah, obviously, Fightful was the first to report this. Kushida is no longer with WWE. His deal with the company expired. He was moved to the alumni section of the website. And yeah, we had a little bit of insight in terms of what's next, or some ideas of what was going on in WWE with him, what had gone on previously in New Japan Pro Wrestling with him. That is all available at flagshippatreon.com, patreon.com/voices of wrestling. You have some exclusive details on that. But as far as we know right now, Kushida is done with WWE, and now he's on to whatever is next. And yeah, I think there's a lot of options for him out there.
Yeah, but as we reported behind the paywall, we had some exclusive bits on Kushida. It sure seems like New Japan's going to be the destination, because he's already pitching ideas. Right. So, and for $5, Rich, you can read all about those ideas. But yeah, so we have the pitches that he made, to the booking team, to Jado specifically, from what I was told. And, he wants to do some different things. He was unhappy at the end of that WWE run. It doesn't take a genius to figure out.
Blame him, yeah.
He didn't love Jacket Time and the comedy stuff.
Oh, no?
He was more than happy to leave. I don't think they were going to re-sign him anyway, but, he was more than happy to just exit stage left anyway. And it looks like New Japan will be the destination. But listen, he's technically a free agent. He can pop up anywhere he wants.
That's what I mean. And he's got a lot of places that would, obviously everywhere in Japan would willingly take him. Money-wise is going to be, eliminate most people. But, Noah would be an interesting one. I think it's not an impossible. And there's that X coming up in Noah that I think a lot of people are wondering if, hey, maybe is he filling that spot? Is it someone else, whoever? And that's cool. I like that. I like the idea that we don't know for sure. I would assume New Japan is the destination, but yeah, there's
even if he's doing one-offs at places.
Right. Honestly, that would probably be my favorite thing for him, is to say, yeah, I'm with you guys, I'm down, but let me do GLEAT for a little bit. Let me do, Dragon Gate one time if I can. Let me do, Noah if I could. Let me kind of bounce around a little bit, and then I'm in. Then I'm all the way in, but yeah, let me do some of these fun things real quick and test the waters, face people I've never faced before, wrestling places I've never wrestled with before, and then we'll move forward, after that. So I think that's probably that'd be a cool way to do it. But he might just want to say, hey, let's just lock it in and move forward. I'm not a little old now, I don't have time to be fucking around, so let's just get right to it. So we'll see.
Yeah. But if he does end up back in New Japan, I think they could use, it's funny because it was so tired with him during the last run, where the junior title was basically always built around him. He would lose it, then they'd build him back up to win it again, and he would lose it, they'd build him back. And we didn't even want to see him as a junior anymore. And we were like, I remember being happy he was leaving. Like, I remember.
Yeah, oh, no, I did. I don't think go back, I don't think we crushed him for going to WWE. I think we were like, look, dude, try something else. Like, this, you're spinning your wheels here. Clearly, they have no other ideas for you. You're kind of in this no man's land. Like, they couldn't.
We're tired of you.
Right, like, they couldn't really de-push him that much because it's like,
yeah,
he wasn't old enough to be like, a classic junior. He wasn't Jushin Thunder Liger and Tiger Mask. Like, he wasn't there yet. I think we even made this exact comparison that he's in this weird no man's land where it's like, all right, we got the next generation ready to go, and you're still kind of here, but we're not ready to make you Tiger Mask yet. So, like, what the hell do we do? And I think the best move for him was to seek out other alternatives. And if WWE was going to come calling, I can't kill him for it. And as we you reported on the paywall, like, there were other guys that WWE wanted at the time, and Kushida smartly was like, let me go, but you should not go. You should definitely stay here. And I think that's some pretty fun insight. But no, he was the perfect guy to take that risk, even if we all kind of knew that this was going to be the end result of it all.
And it's just funny because now that he is apparently headed back, I feel like he's going to freshen it up.
I'm excited. Yeah, I can't wait to see him in there again.
And this circles back to an argument we make all the time. Movement is good. Movement is good. This is a guy that was staler than fucking croutons. Is that a good analogy? Is that a good analogy?
Yeah, I mean, they're by definition stale bread, so yeah.
I think I just invented that. That's I'm going to use that more. I'm going to try to make that happen.
Please
staler
do. Yeah,
than
make that one happen, yeah.
This guy was staler than fucking croutons to the point where we were like, yeah, go to fucking 205 Live, please. Now we're like, oh, he's going to be a welcome breath of fresh air to this junior division. So, he wanted to be a heavyweight last time, and they were like, that's not going to work for us. I still don't think that'll work for them this time around. He's just too small. And he doesn't have that overwhelming star charisma that you need to overcome size if you're going to be a heavyweight. He just doesn't have it. Zack Sabre Jr. at least had the height. Tomohiro Ishii had the weight, right? Will Ospreay bulked up and has the height and the size anyway. Kushida is way too slight of frame and does not have superstar charisma. So I don't think they will ever make him a heavyweight.
Right. Yeah. He's like what, like 5'9", 5'10", I would say.
Maybe shorter than that.
Yeah, maybe.
Tanahashi's 5'9".
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and he's definitely shorter than Tanahashi. Yeah,
he's probably like 5'5" or something, somewhere 5'6", and he's very slight of build. He's just not. He's not even a guy I think that could add weight.
Right, and even if you don't want him, bulking up too much. Yeah, and it'd be like it'd look ridiculous because it's not his frame. It'd look unnatural too for him to do.
Like, look at Taichi now as a heavyweight. He fits. He's got the side like. All these examples I'm giving of people who were once juniors and they're now heavyweights, he's never going to be able to match their weight gains. No. And I don't think he has the proper charisma to be like a Naito type who probably if he dropped 15 pounds, you could buy him as a junior at his size, but he has overwhelming superstar charisma. So of course you're going to want him to be a heavyweight. Hiromu eventually could be a heavyweight.
I've always said he'll define he's positionless in a way. Like, people use it for basketball all the time. Positionless. Like, weight classes will not matter for Hiromu because he's just fucking Hiromu. You know what I mean? Like,
for Kushida, that's a barrier.
Yeah, right.
So, and he does have designs on being a heavyweight again, but I don't think they're ever going to do it. So he gave it a shot. There's even a tidbit in the story that he kind of knew he wasn't going to make it there, but he had to find out. He found out. And, so now he's on his way back. We'll see if he makes some pit stops along the way. I agree with you. I hope he does. I think it'd be fun and interesting if he just popped up on Dynamite one week to do a job to somebody or, popped up as the X in Noah and did a one-off or whatever the case. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So we'll see. But ultimately, I think he's going to end up back in New Japan.
I did too. Yeah, that's.
He didn't leave on bad terms.
No. Yeah. And he got the press conference, the teary-eyed press conference. Left on good terms, and hopefully, welcomed with open arms. And I'm with you. I think it'd be a nice jolt to the junior division to have him back in there. But as mentioned, so we have exclusive news about Kushida, and it is Leaving of WWE, what happened in New Japan, all that other stuff, pitches that he's doing, that is all available at flagshippatreon.com. And then again, like, he was the central figure in the piece that I wrote as well about the portrayal of, you know, male Japanese wrestlers in WWE over history, and it's not great. It's pretty bad. So yeah, we all knew that this is how it was going to go with Kushida. Like, we all knew that this was going to be the end result, but yeah, it's still pretty damning to kind of look at the entire history of it and go, my God, like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, with all the guys, and this dates back to, it goes as far back as Akira Maeda, all the way from Akira Maeda to Shinsuke Nakamura to Kushida to Jiro to Hakushi to everybody in between, your Kenzos, and yeah, it's just ridiculous. Kazuma Sakamoto's, all the way down the line. Taka Michinoku's, every single one of them, Kai and Tai, and it's not been great, the portrayal of Japanese men in WWE. So this is unfortunately Kushida, yet another guy that kind of fell into the exact same trap. Happen time and time again. All right, let's get to our final topic here. This is an interesting one. We touched on this last June when it came down, but this is an end to the GCW Independent Wrestling TV IWTV lawsuit. We finally have a settlement. Began in June, as we said. That's when the lawsuit was filed. IWTV filed against GCW, alleging a breach of contract. IWTV and GCW had agreed in March of 2020 that IWTV was going to produce, film, and distribute GCW events. In December of 2020, GCW requested to be let out of that contract. And when they weren't let out of that contract, they just kind of kept running shows. So between December 2020 and May 2021, they ran 36 shows on Fight TV. So IWTV said, well, you were supposed to run those shows on our platform. We were supposed to be in charge of those shows. So we are filing a lawsuit seeking $500,000 in revenue loss, as well as just kind of the win that, hey, look, you breached the contract. We had a contract. We had a handshake deal. We had a written deal, a written contract. You guys wanted to get let out of it, didn't get let out of it, and then just decided, fuck it, we're not adhering to the contract anymore. So that was the beginning of the lawsuit there. So we got statements from both companies. I'm not going to read the entire statements here, but I think there's some pretty interesting parts in who thought they won what and whatnot, and how different websites were kind of handling this as well. So we'll start with GCW, who was out of the gates immediately. I think before the announcement of the lawsuit being settled even came out, GCW had some reports out there on different websites and different platforms. But
well, okay, so they put their statement out, and like literally 10 minutes later, some major news sites had exclusive stories on the settlement, which means they fed the news sites before they put their statement out and had it all perfectly timed. So this was, very typical PR type move that they pulled here.
Yeah, right. Nothing, out of line. It's just that, exactly what you would do.
You do. I mean, right.
Get out ahead of it.
So you get your statement out and you make sure that all the news sites have your side of the story too. So
right. And all the posts came out with, here's GCW's thing, IWTV has yet to be reached, or IWTV has yet to put their statement out. Because IWTV then went, oh, fuck, shit, we got to get a statement out of there. And then they got it 5 hours later. But by that point, every news site had already, hey, here's what GCW
all the reports, we've reached out to IWTV for comment. Well, the reason they haven't gotten back to you yet is because you already had Game Changer's side in the holster, and you just reached out to IWTV, so they haven't had time. But yeah, IWTV then put out their own statement, and anyway, so anyway, go ahead.
So we'll start with GCW. They said, Game Changer Wrestling is pleased to announce that we have come to terms on a settlement agreement with IWTV that brings an end to litigation between the parties. This agreement represents a significant milestone for GCW, but most importantly serves as a victory for independent, all caps, wrestling and its fans. This agreement also affirms our long-held belief that GCW is the sole owner, all caps, of our extended library, which includes all Game Changer Wrestling, Jersey Championship Wrestling, and LA Fight events. This is important not just for GCW, but for all independent wrestling promotions across the United States and abroad, as we all navigate the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. Further, this agreement removes obstacles that had previously limited our ability to capitalize on our content and clears the way for us to move forward with ambitious plans to, quote, change the game in 2022 and beyond. Most importantly, the settlement allows us to focus all of our efforts and resources on what matters, producing and delivering the best product possible for our rapidly growing and global fan base. So they had some other stuff right there, but I will real quick, I'll jump ahead here a little bit. As part of this arrangement, GCW will provide IWTV with, quote, the Settlement Series, a series of 8 live events spanning the course of the next year. We look forward to announcing dates and details on those events in the coming weeks. So I'll get to IWTV because that kind of explains a little bit more about the settlement series and what's going on there. So IWTV said, IWTV is pleased to announce that it has settled its lawsuit with Game Changer Wrestling. The settlement verifies IWTV's contention that GCW should be held accountable to the agreement which they had previously signed with IWTV. The lawsuit was never over ownership of the video footage. As IWTV partners can attest, the IWTV agreements clearly state that the promotions retain all rights, title, and interest to the programs.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because that runs counter to what Game Changer's saying.
Right. Game Changer is saying they have obstacles in the way that their exact thing is this agreement removes obstacles that had previously limited our ability to capitalize on our content and clears the way for us to move forward with ambitious plans.
The deal you signed to air your shows here and then you decided not to. That's your obstacle.
Right.
Anyway, I have my own opinions on this, but go ahead.
But yeah, I do as well. Rather than continue to waste time and money and legal fees, which could have been better spent on boosting independent wrestling and our independent wrestling partner promotions, IWTV has agreed to accept a series of 8 GCW live events, which will be shown exclusively on IWTV, as well as distributed on DVD and BR via SmartMark Video. I had no idea they were on Bleacher Report, SmartMark Video, whatever. Anyway, with this distinction finally removed, we now look forward to years of streaming the best independent wrestling from our partner promotions. So
and then they plugged their shows.
Yeah, and then said, "Oh, by the way, we have a lot of stuff streaming this week, so here's the links."
Hey, pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Look, they weren't going to get $500,000. I don't know their books obviously, but I find it very hard to believe that Game Changer Wrestling was generating that kind of income for IWTV. But when you file these kinds of lawsuits, you shoot for the moon and then aim for a settlement, and that's what happened here. So instead of going through these court proceedings, which were going to cost everybody money, and obviously you're not going to get $500,000, obviously Game Changer was in the wrong because they agreed in the settlement to give IWTV 8 more shows. And, whatever the terms of the original agreement were, whether it was 8 more shows that they owed them, probably more than that, IWTV agreed to those terms, and they'll just settle things here. They'll take the 8 shows. And the big key here is, they're taking the 8 shows royalty free. In other words, IWTV doesn't have to pay Game Changer. They're not going to be paying Game Changer any money for these 8 shows. That tells you again that somewhere along the way, Game Changer broke a contract.
Right.
Okay. So, maybe the concession here was less shows than the contract originally called for, or less amount of time than but they're giving them 8 shows. And they're giving them to them royalty free because obviously this at the negotiation table, it was agreed upon that Game Changer owed IWTV something. So this is the concession: 8 shows, royalty free. We drop the lawsuit. We're not going to sue you for $500,000 now. If you give us these shows royalty free, Game Changer agrees. And obviously. Also, SmartMark is involved here. So obviously, again, SmartMark must have had ironclad rights to distribute these shows via DVD and streaming as well, because that's part of the settlement. So, look, when you make settlements like this, it's not so much did one side clean up on the other. It's both sides kind of just getting out of the mess. But it sure reads to me like IWTV got the better end of this, or would have gotten the better end of this in court. Game Changer rushing to get their messaging across as quickly as possible to make sure that their messaging was seen first. Going to the news sites to make sure that their side was given out first is also kind of a tip off to that as well. So that's kind of my read on the situation. But after these 8 shows, it'll be behind everyone. I talked to someone that would know. And I asked, hey, could Game Changer sandbag these 8 shows? Could they just give them 8 shitty Jersey Championship Wrestling shows with garbage cards and shitty main events?
Right, because a lot of people kind of made that illusion. I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, they've agreed to settle this, but what is it saying that GCW can't just fuck off and say, hey, we think these shows are stupid, these shows are dumb, we're doing them for no, like you said, royalty free, like, and they readily admit that. That's been readily admitted. Like, there's no, it's already called the settlement series, so it's already kind of wink wink nudge nudge. Like, what's stopping GCW from saying, yeah, we'll give you shows, but they're going to be the dog shit shows, and we don't care, we're not going to promote them, and you'll get them, you'll have them on IWTV, but we're not going to put any muscle behind them, we're not going to put any sort of booking behind them. And you wouldn't, like that's not what I would do, but like you just got done with litigation through these guys, and your agreement is you're going to produce shows for them. it's not it wouldn't be impossible to believe that GCW would just say, fuck it, give them the worst shows we could possibly give them. That'll learn them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not surprised by that, but apparently that's not the case.
Well, they also say in the Game Changer statement, it says litigation was a last resort. They're not the ones who filed the lawsuit. What are they talking about? Like, you, as a small business, our resources are not unlimited. Litigation was a last resort, but a necessary step. No, you got sued. Like, what are you talking about? They asked for $500,000 in damages. So that right there doesn't make much sense. And they're bragging about, our long-held belief that we're the sole owner, caps, of our extended library. And then meanwhile, Smart Mark is distributing these 8 shows. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like, your statement has so many holes in it. It's like, so I don't know. To me, it seems like they had to make a lot of concessions here to get out of being sued, and they did. And it's the big old mess, and now it's over. But to finish the point I was making, I did talk to someone who would kind of know, and they weren't concerned with that because, I asked flat out whether IWTV, like if I were IWTV at that table, I would have said, look, I want these 8 shows, but Nick Gage has to be on them, or Matt Cardona has to be on them,
right?
Or
right.
Your world title has to be on them. Cologne has to be, whatever.
Or one of our guys has to be in the room with you, or we get final approval on the match bookings or something like that. Yeah. Yeah,
we approve the shows, or here's the list of names, and you have to have at least 2 of these names on each show, something to guarantee that they're not being sandbagged. But I was told that they have reason to believe they won't be, which gave me the impression that there's, no specific deal in place to ensure it. And, the other thing is, IWTV never had the rights to stuff like Spring Break, Bloodsport, the biggest of the biggest shows to begin with. So, it's not like, they could have the rug pulled out on, like they never had the rights to those anyway. So that was never part of the original agreement. So they think that they're going to get legitimate shows. And if you read the 2 statements, it's not obvious. It's not like laid out explicitly, but it's not necessarily going to be chronological shows. It's 8 shows titled the Settlement Series. So that also tells you that maybe there's some sort of agreement in place to where, it can't just be some shitty LA fights, or you can't burn them off with sort of
It's a series of 8 live events spanning the course of the next year. So it's not like they're going to say, all right, guys, in June, let's just run 3 straight shows from the Showboat, and then the next week we'll come back and do 3 more, and then we'll just get the shit done with all in June and July, and then we'll move on with this. Like, over the course of the year leads me to believe that it will be spread out a little bit.
Yeah, so maybe there is some sort of deal like I alluded to in place. I don't know. I just, got the impression that there wasn't, but that's settled, and these 2 entities will be completely done with each other once those 8 shows take place, and we could all move on from that.
Absolutely. So,
yeah. Before we finish up, I know what do we got, like 5 minutes or something?
We got three or 4 minutes, but yeah, go ahead.
I don't even know how to approach this. Is Eita versus Hayata the worst Sumo Hall main event in the history of pro wrestling? Did you see that or no?
I did not.
Okay, so Noah is running back-to-back Sumo Hall shows on the 29th and the 30th. Okay? The main event of the first show is for the GHC junior title, Eita against Hayata. That's the main event of this Sumo Hall show.
See, I'm trying to think of like other. I'm sure there's got to be a worse one in history, right?
The semi-main event is Katoge and Yohei against Yoshinari Ogawa and Chris Ridgway. I mean, these are perfectly fine matches if they're like 4th and 5th. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is now. Listen, Noah's bringing in a lot of names. Third from the top is Dragon Bane versus Alpha Wolf versus Ninja Mac.
Oh, yeah.
Sumo Hall. Noah versus Z-Brats. Harada Alejandro and Junta Miyawaki versus Shun Skywalker, SB Kento, and Hyo. They're bringing Extreme Tiger in, a name I haven't heard since like 2010. Extreme Tiger against Saiki Yoshioka. Loser ring name stripping match between Heyo and Neo. Nosawa, Tejano Jr., and Super Crazy versus Tarasuke, Hajime Ohara and Suji Kondo. Kotaro Suzuki versus Yuya Susumu. Slex, the business, versus Yasutaka Yano. And the opener is Akudo Hidaka versus Kai Fujimura.
Have you seen the shape, my man? Have you seen my shape the man Slex the business is in?
Slex is literally the business.
Yeah, I'm not a body guy, I'm an effort guy, but my man is putting in some effort. I am all in on the business Slex. So
Rich, I get you're getting deals on these buildings. I understand that. You're running back-to-back nights. Maybe this is an experiment.
Eita and Hayata. I'm feverishly looking up every major event that's happening in Sumo Hall. And I will tell you, I'm in 2019, and so far I think I could safely say that Hayata and Eita is the worst. I did find a WWE live in Sumo Hall.
Okay.
AJ Styles, Braun Strowman, and Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre. Pretty bad.
That's a better match than Eita Hayata. That's a better main event.
All right, I'll keep going.
It's a better main event. I mean, you got AJ Styles. I mean, Drew McIntyre wasn't really a star yet. But that's a bad one. It's Baron Corbin. It's not good. But come on, forget just the main events. That is an awful sumo
hall. Very unbecoming of a sumo hall. Yeah.
I mean, I like the new names and everything, and mixing it up. I'll watch the shows, but my God, what's that going to draw?
Yeah,
it's
I have no
limited
idea.
capacity too, right? They're going to put over under 1,500.
Probably under, right?
I'll give you some context. Hold on.
Yeah, what do we got?
0-1. What did 0-1 do? Let's see. 0-1 did. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what they did because they claimed 3,500, but if you look at
there wasn't 3,500 that built.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can't really trust Japanese attendances.
I don't even think night 2 is great. It's Ironhead versus Shiozaki for the title main event. And Takashi Sugiura and Hideki Suzuki defending the tag belts against Kano and Nakajima. And then you have Marufuji and X, which we talked about, versus Kaito Kiyomiya and Yoshiki Inamura. Kiyomiya and Inamura. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm feverishly looking here, and I'm having a hell of a time finding it. I thought I had one because I was like, oh, this Amichi Marufuji 20th anniversary. I remember that not being like, and then I remembered, oh yeah, no, that match fucking rocked. It was Marufuji versus Itami, and it ruled. Yeah. Remember that? And that was a great show. Yeah, so that's not it.
This is also the show where Elgin returns. He faces Masa Kitamiya. And do you know who Masakatsu Funaki is defending the national title against on this second of back-to-back sumo?
Oh, it's someone I forget who it is, but it's someone stupid.
Rich, it's Simon Gotch. Again, I don't mind bringing the new names in.
Oh, but I got it. I found it. You ready?
All right, give me one. All right.
Enochiism 2 on December 21st, 2017. Capacity 7,000 in Sumo Hall for this.
Wait, 2017 you said?
2017.
Oh, God.
I don't even remember this happening. I have no recollection of this happening whatsoever.
What's this mean?
Your main event is Scott Norton versus something called Peter Aritz.
Oh, Peter Aritz. Yeah, he's a kickboxer.
Okay.
That is in 2017?
Yes. This looks like the worst show. The third from the top is Hammerstone. Yes, that Hammerstone.
Yeah.
Versus Montana Sylvia.
That's Giant Silva.
Is that Giant Silva? Oh my God, that is Giant Silva.
Spell the first name. That's Giant Silva.
I don't know.
Right?
I don't think it is Giant Silva. It's Montanhaha Silva. I don't think that's Giant Silva. Maybe I'm wrong. No, it's the Amazon Goliath is his nickname. He looks like he kind of he's a big dude, but
different guy. Okay, yeah. What's Giant Silva's first name? I think it's something similar.
Giant Silva's first name is, this is important information that we need to get to, Paulo Cesar de Silva. Yeah, because he's Brazilian. So, yeah.
You're right, Paulo de Silva. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's a pretty bad name.
Hey, it had 7,000 people in Sumo Hall for a very believable.
Nobody's buying that.
Scott Norton versus Peter. What's it? Aritz?
Scott Norton in 2017.
Yeah, that had to be really brutal.
God.
So there you go. It could be worse. It could be worse.
If these two shows were combined, it wouldn't be that bad. I mean, it really. Look, I'm interested in the shows, honestly.
Yeah,
It's interesting with all these new names, but man, you were really pushing the limits in that building with a show like that first one. And I don't even think the second one is great from a perspective of drawing fans.
No.
Fujita has never, anyway, we don't need to do this again. But Extreme Tiger in 2020? 2022?
Yeah, what's Extreme Tiger been doing,
I haven't seen that guy in years.
Yeah, let me see what Extreme Tiger's been up
I used to love that guy.
Yeah, Extreme Tiger rocks.
2008. Has he even been working?
He was on USA vs. the World. You remember that? He was teaming with Bandito.
I watched that show and I don't even remember. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
He's been doing some AAA. He's been doing Baja Stars USA, of course. You know Baja Stars USA. He's
MLW, I guess. Right?
Yeah, he's been doing a little MLW,
He's back in the mix, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
In 2022, but he was just straight Mexican Indies before that.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. I'm scrolling here and it's it's some pretty deep cut.
So he's back in the mix.
Your Baja Stars, your Crashes, your LLTs, your G21, whatever the fuck that is.
He's got to be in his 40s by now, right?
I would, yeah. He's got to be, yeah. Because you're saying, you watched him in 20 per 41 years old is what I got here.
Sounds about right
for Extreme Tiger. So
Lucha guys, though, you never know. It's he's 31. He's been wrestling 20 years.
right. Yeah. Extreme Tiger's been wrestling since 1992, but he's only 41 years old. Yeah, he made his debut in 2003 apparently. So there you go, Extreme Tiger. So,
but those Noah show lineups, man,
that's pretty brutal. Yeah, and it's a problem. I mean,
they're fun looking, but
it's the buildings.
Come on.
It's a problem with the buildings, and we've entered this period where people should just be smarter about it, but you do get people that are I don't know. I mean, Noah's running, Tokyo Dome, or Noah's running Sumo Hall, and it's but it's not really Sumo Hall. It's not actually. New Japan ran double the amount of Tokyo Domes last year. It doesn't mean that they're business. They're just getting these buildings for cut rates, and
so they could sell as many tickets as possible.
Right. Just call it like it is. It's fine. It's okay. We all know the score. We all know the game. But just calm down. We don't need.
Well, hopefully it'll all end soon because Japan is really starting to loosen up in a lot of ways. And we can go back to Hayata not main eventing sumo.
Right. Thank God.
Can we just go back to that, please? But
only reserve sumo halls for Scott Norton and
yeah.
Braun Strowman and Baron Corbin. So anyway, all right, that is it for this episode of the Flagship Podcast. Again, support our sponsor HelloFresh, hellofresh.com/VOW16. Use the promo code VOW16. FlagshipPatreon.com for all of the content we said. Joe's rant about the casual fan, that is up on the all price tiers. So for as low as $1, you can get that. All of their other writing is available for $10. So including the some of the other scoops and the Kushida piece that I rent, that was all on the $10 tier. All the additional audio we do is on the $5 tier. Live shows on the $10, including instant reactions, including the Flagship Live, and all the other stuff is available at flagshippatreon.com. So that's it. Flagship Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network as well. We are proud members of that, and plenty of great shows on that network as well. Voiceswrestling.com for also event coverage and columns and all the other. All right, that is it for us. So for Joe Lanza, I'm Rich. We will talk to you next time.
Underdog Fantasy is the fastest growing fantasy app and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Just jump on UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app, draft your team, and that's it. And if drafts aren't your thing, they also have a pick'em game where you can win 20 times your money in a single night. Use promo code RADIO, and Underdog will double your first deposit when you sign up with up to $100 in bonus cash. Deposit $100, get $100 free. That's promo code RADIO. Terms and conditions apply.